Welcome to the What Honed You Show,
where we externalize your internal champion.
Hey, we are back to another episode of the What Honed You Show, and today is probably going to be one of my favorite episodes just because it's near and dear to me because I have, obviously, Trevor Wittman back in the studio with me. But today's guest is someone that's actually helped me get here to Denver, Colorado in my whole fighting career. These two men have, honestly, is why I'm still part of the MMA game. A big part of it. I mean, these guys have been mentors, brothers, friends. Just when I left Nebraska and I came up here, and Duane Bang Ludwig.
Thank you for having me on, Coach. It's an honor to be here with you, sir. Once again, sharing the arts and breaking things down. So it's a privilege for me as well.
So I get to experience both these guys throughout the time, and I feel like Luke is very flinchy right now. Like every time he feels like Dwayne's looking at him, he's like right hand up, right hand up. Oh, here comes the left head kick or the left hook. I'm just joking.
Wow, dude,
fun times though, right?
I would have to when we'd hold pads for each other. I'd have to put my mouthpiece in because, man. Sometimes you just get carried away and it'll be a right kick and a left kick come, bam.
Hey, that's it. That's either he's that good or you were that bad on mitts. Which one was it?
That's funny.
I'm going to tell you right now, he's the one that got me learning how to hold mitts real fast because, man, you didn't want to mess up.
Oh, you don't mess up with him.
Holy cow, you were going to get smoked.
I tell my students that, though, is like you always have to be accountable for your strikes. So even if the pad holder is completely wrong, they don't get hit, so control your strikes. So if I had any missed strikes on the pads and they hit you, my apologies, sir.
Hey, there was one. There was one. So you
owe me a lot.
He was always like so good, like exactly. Like he'd pick a knee up, and if your pad drops for like a body kick, and he brought it up, like the leg would not release. But there was one time where I was taking low kicks with the Thai pads on, and I have to get it behind my knee because I would knuckle myself because you kick so hard and so deep. And there was one time that you thought a body kick was coming, and right as I turned and you stopped it, but it buckled my elbow so good. And I was like, oh my gosh. But there also one more just quick story. When I was first working with Duane, and you'll get to see how long ago we were working together in the gym, and we were in Delgados. But dude, he was getting ready for a fight, and I was like, oh, cool. So he's like, well, let's just flow with the Thai pads, and if you see a kick, just open up to it. And I'm moving laterally, and he goes to throw a left kick. And I naturally just drop my elbow like I would in boxing, Dude hits him right in the foot. Ooh. And he gets his little shake, and he's like this, and he looks at me, and I'm like, oh, my God, I hit you right in the foot. He shakes it off for a second and, like, does a little limp, and I'm like, you good? He's like, oh, I'm good. Dude, he goes, I'm moving the other way. He does it with his right foot. Dude, you were like, dude, the same look. You were like, the fucking pads, motherfucker.
We're both learning.
Excuse my language, but get the pads right.
Well, there's so much to talk about, Duane. I mean, there's just how good you are as a fighter, but now you're a father. What are you, coach of? You have a whole affiliate program, and we'll dive all into everything. But let's introduce Duane's video because he's a perfect example. Don't judge a book by its cover because he's a bad dude.
Hit it.
Hit it. Look how young
This is the best. He's so young.
Yeah.
And we don't add music because I want to hear the commentary. Like, you running the hills right here. You remember this? This is New Mexico, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir. That's the boss.
And then boss, yeah. Amazing. Look at back in the day. That's the gym.
Trevor.
Yep. Yeah, wow.
Damn, it's so crazy, right? I love watching these old things.
Holy cow.
I remember this one. Remember that one?
Oh, yeah. That's when they used to have the rampage. Remember that walkout like that?
Mm-hmm.
I missed that.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They don't do that anymore.
And the sponsorships on the back of the... Watch that. Oh, dude, you remember the guy's face?
Poor guy.
Yeah, poor guy.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's the dude with the shoes on. Kozo.
Man, that was great.
Oh, my gosh. Your knees, the one thing about you, Duane, that I just love watching, there's crazy horse tapped from a body shot, but your combinations, your knee combinations with your flow up and down, you're always at the head, at the body, at the right, watch, back to the legs. Your up and down is so good, your hand position and your aggressiveness. Spectacular.
Always. Pressure.
Look at that cage back in the day. That was like...
Oh, the mouthpiece flip.
That,
Yeah, this is.
yeah, that was to get you to K-1 in
Jens
Japan.
Pulver right there.
There's Jens Pulver rolling out. Poor guy. Amazing. I love it. I love watching all of this. And who the guy was shown on the beginning of the video that put this together. You guys should go watch it because the music that he puts together to it is so good. It just pumps it up so well.
That's James Blair. He's an excellent editor. He's actually doing a tattoo work now. But
oh, nice.
Really?
So, artist,
he's
you could
badass.
tell.
He's really good at this. So it looks great. Half of it is his editing.
Absolutely. So, how do you put it together? But that's the music that goes with it, the combination. I'm out.
That's how many fights.
Ring of Fire.
A lot of fights.
There's so many fights, right?
Dude,
We don't even show all of it. So if that was the ISK when you won the belt.
Strike Force.
Pretty good.
Oh, Tony Ferguson. Yep. Damn. Masato.
Masato.
That guy's a stud too.
He's awesome. He's
They all work.
One
You
of the
remember that
best.
group when you were fighting with Zambitis and Kraus and
yeah.
gosh, Kraus would have all those little leather anklets
Yeah, that was a
with
golden
a tassel. Remember how bad that dude stunk from
Oh,
France?
Yeah, that's right.
You're like, bro,
From,
he stinks so bad.
Turkey.
I wasn't even with you at that fight. Christian was.
Yilmaz, yeah.
Man, your combinations are so brutal. You're up and down. What a pleasure to watch. That was for the
Look at you.
ISK.
That was here. I remember that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
There's Jens. I felt I had a conversation with him afterwards. What a great guy. Jens was actually, he went through
Look
a
at
lot.
Leonard there.
Oh yeah, Leonard and my wife.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Dude,
That's a good edit.
it's just
Good edit.
It's not my edit, but we
Yeah.
copied and paste. So
We
thank you
shared
to
it.
the guy.
Yeah.
What was his name again?
James Blair.
yeah,
James
I
Blair.
think- I think
That was
it's
sweet.
Sick. Wait, take us back, like childhood. Like, when did mixed martial arts become a part of your life?
Mixed martial arts. Well, martial arts in
Martial arts.
general.
Martial
I started
arts.
with at the time, Shihan means expert instructor, and he was under Ashihara. Where should I start with this? So Ashihara was under Masuyama. Well, we go back on this. As far as now I'm jumping into karate lineage itself, but my first instructor was again, his name was Shihan Ninomiya, but he's Joko. He's a Kancho now. Kancho means you're the head of the organization. So he did the lineage seminar last year. He's 74 now, and still
Looks like a young man. It's crazy.
super
Wow.
ninja.
Dude, the way he was
sharp
throwing
spin
kicks on that pad, it's crazy.
Like he could fight today still.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't believe how. If I told you his age, you wouldn't believe it.
Really?
He's just super ninja. But he was my first instructor when I was 8, and people ask me like my lineage and my start and stuff, and I've been super blessed to have nothing but like badass instructors. You know, Contra Ninomiya, Sensei Boss, Trevor Wittman, James Tigret, Clarence Thatch. Those are the men that took their time to invest into me, and I mean, the highlight obviously is a good example of that. I don't want to take too much credit. It's obviously all from the Lord, but these men took their time to invest into me, so I had to make this as pretty and as I guess not I won't say perfect, but as pretty as I could make it in their honor, right? So they started off karate game when I was 8, and then met James Tigret when I was 15. He was like a traditional Thai boxing, toe tapping, basic Thai boxing stuff. And then I met Sensei Boss when I was 18, and then he showed me the Dutch style, which had a lot more movement, which mirrored actual the Kyokushin style that I do with Concho. Because the Dutch kickboxing actually comes from Japanese kickboxing, which comes from Kyokushin, which is Japanese. So, and they're not sitting their feet in the ground, just exchanging punches. There's a lot of movement and pushing and pulling and kind of Aikido flow to go along with the energy and the flow, not just to interrupt it. So their footwork and movement has really helped me evolve as a martial artist, and then with my students as well. So I don't want to sit there and exchange punches, right? I like to move and have them miss and take advantage of the void and so on. So that's, I guess, a short, in a nutshell, my martial art journey from, again, legitimate masters. That's what I would say. And I said badasses, and they are, but they're legitimate masters. Like Trevor, you're a legitimate master of the arts. And so was Sensei Boss and Concho and like all the people that invested into me, Clarence Thatch, again, Joko. So I have no choice but to be badass myself.
Yeah.
Like, not to be too boastful, right? But why do I? Because I feel like I'm technically sound and I understand the arts. I've dedicated my life to understanding this, and I do understand it pretty well. But it's because of the men that I've been blessed to have the opportunity to learn from.
Yeah.
So I want to just go back a little bit because I'm trying to get a visual, and I know you very well, and there's a lot of questions I know he wants to ask
Yes,
that we
sir.
just spoke about. You said 8. I want to get that visual. Like, were you watching like martial arts tapes? Sorry. Like, what inspired you to go in there? Were you swinging on people?
Now that I'm older and I understand, like, as a father and development and stuff, and childhood and raising and parents and all that, I think it's for most males, we want to have a strong male figure around, and I didn't have that in my house. But watching the Bruce Lee movies, Bruce Lee was my not online, but like my digital dad. Who didn't want to be him, right? He was able to, so he was my. I got to be careful saying idol, but he was my inspiration.
Yep.
Bruce Lee was my inspiration, and I grew up in a very mixed community, I guess. So, which is a blessing because I just seen that we're all one, and that's obviously the case,
Mm-hmm.
So that's been a blessing. But I never looked like Bruce Lee is, he's Chinese. Like, there's nothing against that. I just saw him as a badass martial artist who could calm the storm and restore peace. With beautiful violence. I thought that was my that was my goal. He did. And what's interesting about Bruce Lee though, because how would you classify him if you were to say tail the tape? Would you say I would say a striker though, right? Would you say a striker, right? So the beginning, the opening fight scene in Enter the Dragon from 1973, the opening scene, it starts off with striking, takes the guy down, and submits him.
Yep.
In 1973.
Yeah, that's it. He was the first one to kind of put it all together.
Oh yeah,
it's so amazing.
Well, yes, on video, but original karate in Okinawa was MMA. But that's another.
That's why I love Duane Ludwig, because I know a lot about this. But keep going. I just want to say, Dev, you are a freaking master. Bro.
Thank you, sir. I understand it, I think, pretty well. But I guess I shouldn't say that because I don't remember the title of the movie where Bruce Lee fought Chuck Norris in the Roman Coliseum. Yep. Do you remember how he finished Chuck Norris?
Dude, I remember the part where he pulled that damn chest hair.
Yeah, right.
He's like, I didn't see you.
But you would think
with the choke, and then he did breaks his neck and kills him.
Guillotine, right? Yeah. So it's like his two biggest movies. He chose, because he's the fight coordinator and director. Mm-hmm. He chose to showcase jiu-jitsu. So it's like, if you would, I thought it'd be like a jump spin kick or a side kick.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So, but because I feel he knew what the truth was, that it's not just one style. It's there's many answers to that question as well. But going back to him just being a strong male figure in my life, it was him. And I just always had. I think I grew up in like a violent. I shouldn't say violent, but fighting was okay. Like I grew up, like people didn't have the shit together. I think low income area, people just fought for like no fucking reason all the time. So it was like disputes. It was like always disputes, and it was always turned to a fight. So that's scary as shit to a child. So I want to make sure that I could be the person who could calm the storm. So my idea was to be like Bruce Lee, and then I get to go meet Contra Nomi when I'm 8. So I'm like, oh well, he looks like Bruce Lee. He's Japanese, and even though Bruce Lee was 3/4 Chinese and a quarter Dutch actually, but it was very. And then he was like a serious badass. He wasn't like a taekwondo nerd doing jump spin kicks and like there was no purpose behind it. Concho actually did full contact karate and won multiple tournaments in Japan, the All Japan Open, and I think that was in '78 when I was born. So.
And what style was he?
That's
just
called.
To repeat it,
because
this is a lot
what's
for.
Funny is,
just let me kind of break into this real quick, because our new fan base that we're getting, especially with Paramount, because we're MMA brands, so the education to this, so we can kind of speak to the levels. Guys, go look this stuff up. This is so cool. Like Kyokushin, or how are you even saying it? I can't ever say it right. So I love that style of karate because it's so brutal and it's like hardcore. The real karate. Like go look it up.
So there's a reason for that though as well, because during the war, the Japanese government wanted to have more of a peaceful society. So when Gichin Funakoshi, who's the guy credited for taking karate from Okinawa to mainland Japan, he had the style which is coined Shotokan, and they focus more on forms and katas, not actual combat. And Shoto means pine tree or pine, and Kan means building. So apparently his students actually named his art because when he would walk towards the building where he would teach his style of karate, which wasn't even a style, he was just teaching the karate that he knew, which was going roof from back in Okinawa. He'd walk through a path of pine trees, and his students called it Shotokan because he'd walk through the path of pine trees to get to the kan, the building. So hence Shotokan. But one of his students, Masoyama, who I think he was half Korean and half Japanese, but he pushed the whole Japanese scene because he lived in Japan. But he wanted to have combat and fights, so he's the one that created full contact karate with no face punches, no elbows, no tight clinch, but you clinch off to the side, sweeps and so on. So like the full contact stand up karate is Kyokushin, and Kyokushin means the ultimate truth. But how can you and I wish I had the opportunity to talk to him, and I think I know the answer. I want to see what you think about this, but he named it Kyokushin, but there's no elbows, there's no headbutts, there's no takedowns, there's no grappling. There was some actual grappling, but for the most part, it was stand-up. How can you call it Kyokushin? And I think the answer is because once you agree on a set skill set, and we compete now, that competition journey will tell you the ultimate truth about yourself. So I think that's what he meant by ultimate truth. But again, it goes from Shotokan to Kyokushin, and then so he was pushing Japanese karate was the strongest karate, and it actually was the strongest karate. But then they heard and they knew of the Thais, and they had Thai boxing in Thailand. So his goal was to go and compete against the Thais in the Thai rules. And the story goes that they brought down a team of 5 fighters to Thailand to fight the Thais in Thai boxing rules. But they couldn't all agree on what the rules were as far as the rounds and how much clinch and what it was and so on. So some of them actually went back to Japan, including Masuyama, and Masuyama took one of his students, one of his black belts, Kenji Kurosaka, who was training the fighters but not competing. He stayed with the 2 guys that were going to compete, but they can't have just 2 guys to compete because one guy could win and the other guy could lose and just be a draw. So the story is, again, Kenji Kurosaka stepped in, and he was just training. He wasn't competing at the time, and fought. And of the 3 Kyokushin, karateka they call them, the guys that competed, two of them won by knockout. They beat the Thais, and Kenji Kurosaka was the only one that lost. He lost to a decision, but he felt like he disgraced his master, Masuyama, and karate. So when he went back to Japan, he studied boxing, and he was the one apparently who started morphing karate into Japanese-style kickboxing. And they really focused on that. And then his student, Toshio Fujiwara, who's badass, that's when like and then they coined it Seido, because Sei means, well, Do means way, and Sei means like the new path or road. So Seido just means the new way, meaning as far as Shotokan to Kyokushin to Japanese kickboxing. They can't just call it Japanese kickboxing, so they call it Seido. And then there's Seido Kaikan, and Kai just means organization. Again, Kan's building, but Seido Kaikan, Seido meaning the new way, the new path. And another piece of the story is one of Masuyama's students, John Blooming, who was a Dutchman, who was in the Dutch military and then was fighting in the Korean War, got hurt, stationed in Tokyo, got out of the hospital, and started training judo with Masuyama, and then started learning the karate. Not judo with Masuyama, judo at the Kodokan, and Kodo that just means, well, do means way, but ko means study. So it's like the study of the way is what the Kodokan is. And then they heard the rumors, or however it leaked over, that there's some of Masuyama's students are doing this new form of fighting called Seido, which was just kickboxing. And when John Blooming went back to Holland, because he'd go back and forth between Holland and Japan, he told his student John Blas and Tom Hartnick, and they would go back and they would go train at Majero Gym. And that's how they brought the Majero Gym back to Holland, which morphed into now Dutch kickboxing. And then Sensei Boss, learns it from Core Hammers and brings it to the States. And I was able to directly link up with him. But it's all just an evolution of Shotokan, Kyokushin, Seido Kaikan, or Seido to Dutch kickboxing to now Boss Rutan style of striking. And then he allowed me to do what I felt I needed to do with my intuition and feel it in spirit and so on, to make more fluidity with striking, to hence more for mixed martial arts. So it's all just a full circle, which goes back to original karate in Okinawa apparently was mixed martial arts, because they knew they'd fight on the ground, and they didn't want to say, well, stop, like a fight's a fight. So original karate in Okinawa was MMA. It just was obviously as refined,
right?
But just full circle again, as life is. So hopefully connect the dots of all that, right? So,
well, it's always a flow. It's always an evolution, and just listening to you talk, Duane, is why. I mean, this is like cool, because I get to know you, and I've known you for 20 years, a little bit more than 20 years, and this is why you're so technical and so good. Like your brain is like a supercomputer. Like just listening to you, just you understanding names. I'm the worst with names. Like I forget this guy's name sometimes, but it's to be able to see that lineage, because there is so many different lineage, styles. Yeah. Like if you look at the Thai fighters and then you look at like the Dutch style kickboxing. Let's just break those two down, and then we'll talk a little bit about the boxing and stuff like that, because I think this technical aspect is very huge in understanding it. Having a conversation with Cosmo Alexandre, who fought in Thailand. You got to travel to Thailand, got to sleep on the bunks, run every morning, run every afternoon, go and get haircuts with baby elephants and all the stories that I would hear. Like, how cool is that? But I learned something from Cosmo that was very unique, and we had conversations about it all the time because I was learning Thai. I started in karate and Kempo karate, and then I moved into boxing. And it was really cool to understand what the stadium was like. He said he was getting in trouble because he was stopping people, and they were like, they go there and they bet a little bit of money. They want to drink some beers and they want to watch fights, and they want the fight to last. And they're like, if you're going to knock them out, if it's a 3-round or a 5-round fight, knock them out in the last round. Give them something to watch. And they like that. That's like why the Thais stand there. They kind of just tap their feet and just stand in one place. And then you look at the Dutch guys. And that was a big question for me, is like, why are all these Dutch kickboxers going out there and just smashing these Thai fighters? And from my perspective, and I want to get your brain on this, because this is a perspective. And again, this isn't coming from study. This comes from me seeing and flagging things. I thought it was, the Dutch had the boxing flow. They kicked opposite side. It'd be like right punch, right kick, where Thai's like left punch, right kick. But the footwork, like the Dutch were very good at bringing the boxing style. And this is what I loved about the Japanese style of karates, is it was very boxing oriented. Outside of Bruce Lee, who came from like the Chinese martial arts, but he built a lot together. Just listening to you. His boxing was amazing. The leverage in his short punches, like that's another thing. His elbows in, and the way he would just. I mean, when we're doing our katas in karate, like your elbows are in when you're dropping in the horse stance and you're turning over. You're not punching with your elbows out. It's elbows in, so you get the body drive. And I remember doing katas, and I was like, what am I doing here? And it was shadow boxing. And once I got to shadow boxing is one of my favorite things. And what you learn shadow boxing, it's flow, it's seeing what's coming at you, it's keeping body in motion. But just listening to you talk, I'm going to send this back over to you for a little bit before we get into our rounds. But what do you feel, because you fought the best, Ramon Deckers, you fought. You worked with Boss, and another question that he's going to ask you about Boss, because we want to know, we learned a little bit, and I'll let him follow up with this after you're done. But I want to know the experience that you've got from all these legends that you've worked with, your education behind karate, because it really bothers me when people are like, oh, karate is nothing. Yes, Americanized karate that came over for money. A lot of it was monetized, but you still have specialists that really put things in. And I really do believe if you are an artistic type of guy, you talked about being an art. Fighting is an art. And when you see someone that puts the time in, they become wata.
Yeah.
Little Luke show. Wata!
That's interesting to bring that up. Yeah, go ahead.
But I just wanted to say that there is a development there that art has created what we live right now. And the name mixed martial arts, not no holds bar like it was when I was getting with you. Like you were at that stage. Like it was just transitioning over. But I love getting into your mind. So explain to me the Holland kickboxing versus the Thai kickboxing, and where it comes from karate in just a little sense, because I really want to understand that, because I love Dutch kickboxing.
So yeah, I think the Dutch have a bit more footwork and obviously a lot more boxing combinations. And I think one of the reasons why they were successful initially is because the Thais, culturally, if you don't want to say that, would be easy the first round or two, and then the Dutch like trying to finish the fight. So they would be in their face and explosive, and then with footwork to be in and out, or in or out from the kicks and the knees and so on. Not that they couldn't, do elbows and knees as well, but they've seen a hole, 2 holes, I think. Well, I've spoke with many Dutchmen, and they've mentioned these 2 specific things: is the Thais start slow, so the Dutch would start fast, and they weren't as accustomed to the Western style boxing as the Dutch were. So those 2 things right there is what allowed them, the Dutch, to be to have some success. I should say, not always, but the Thais are still awesome. And but a lot of the Thais too have evolved as well. I mean, if you watch some of the fights now, like
Bacau,
Bacau's awesome. Well, he blows my mind because the first
durability,
year he fought in the max,
just crazy.
Well, the first year he fought in the max, he won with a lot more kicks and knees.
Yeah.
They changed the rules because of Bacau, so that he couldn't do as much of a clinch. He came back the next year and knocked everybody out with hands. Dude, I've never seen such a dramatic transformation of skill set in whatever the time was, like a year time frame, and. The first year he won it, he was the day after, Sunday or whatever the day was, he was in the gift shop holding a teddy bear, just punching the teddy bear. Like, dude, all this guy does is fight.
All he does.
That's
like, a culture, though. You lived it. You run in the morning. You run how many miles in the morning? How many miles in the afternoon? The durability. When we fought Faziev, my biggest concern, everybody was like, oh, he's taking it on short notice. And I'm like, you have no idea. When you train in Thailand, you're training to fight weekly.
Yeah, they're
like,
smart.
They are durable. And I love how you said they had that hole for the first 2 rounds, where it's like, that is a big hole because they're very calm. They take kicks. Like, it's my favorite sport to watch is Thai kickboxing because of the sound And they're just like, let's stand here and just eat kicks and just return. Like, you go, I go. You go, I go. I love that. And the culture, like a lot of these sports are culture like, and the culture, they live it. They're from kids.
I'm not a big fan of the one aspect of that culture that I got to bring up, because the kids, like, the kids, and they have 300, 200, 300 fights. Yep. Yeah. What you don't understand is family, not you in particular, but what happens there is, and I haven't witnessed this personally, but the stories, and once I say this, you'll understand it. The economics out there aren't great. So the story is, families will basically sell their kids to these camps, and the camps promise them education. What they need to do is they need to train and fight for them. You know what that's called in America?
Yeah.
That's called
chicken
slavery.
Fight.
That's called slavery.
Chicken fighting, dog fighting. It's absolutely
to a camp to go. So my point is, so that right there, I don't doesn't feel great for, to my soul, right? Mm-hmm. But also, shouldn't those kids? I mean, again, we know we're in America. Thank you, Lord. I wouldn't mind seeing them ride a bike, have fun, and not have to get up and run and go fight.
Especially if you don't want to fight.
You're 8 years old, doing an elbow fight in a stadium for a bunch of drunk people gambling on you. Like, that's the reality of it. For those you guys don't know, and one thing too is, I don't want to. Well, whatever, fuck it. Martial arts attracts
Spook it to Thailand. Sorry, that's a bad joke.
Martial arts attracts people who are like my culture, didn't have. No, it's okay. Like, didn't have a father. And
absolutely.
Some structure, some guidance, and to be of some worth and some value. And a lot of them are attracted to martial arts, and specifically some will go to the Thais, and then they get their religious aspect because of their polytheistic religion with their random tattoos of like, I have this one because it's protection. Like, the damn tattoo is not protecting you. The Lord's protecting you for one, okay? Yep. And they still believe in like spirit gods. Like when they wrap the hand on the top of the rope, they're blocking up the spirit so they don't mess with the fight. Like, fuck off. That's not.
So you have never come out with the music and did your like little quad stretch, your little hamstring stretch?
I have, until I figure out what it was. And what the hell am I doing? I grew up as a Catholic and I'm a Christian. And regardless of the name, the Jesus is Jesus and God is God, and like they're one and the same with the Trinity. But that is who's running the world. Obviously fighting with the devil, but it's not like some wind god and some god like trying to interfere with the fights, right? So, I mean, there are bad spirits and stuff out there, but not try to go on a religious path, right? Too much. But that, going back to the Thais, there is, and John Wayne Parr talked about this as well. They basically sell their kids, to camps, and the camp promise the parents to educate them. They have to fight, and some of that money goes back to the family. And that's the economics. That's how things are set up. But to me, as a father and being in America, I view that as a little bit of a different scenario. I'm not going to go make Little Boss or Dwayne Man go fight so I can have money and drink, and gamble,
right, dude?
But so that's the dark side.
I hear you, dude. So I got a tattoo of my son.
12 years old and he's got 200 fights. Isn't that cool?
So my son,
shouldn't he be riding a bike, motherfucker?
So my son, I got a tattoo. He could hit mitts so good. His hands are wrapped in this picture. I got this tattoo. And then once he started playing lacrosse, I was like, please play lacrosse. Please. Like, seriously. Like if you want to fight, like obviously I want to support whatever you're going to do. But it is a rough sport. To be able to do that, when you don't have financial and you're trying to make it, you're a part of the family. Cultures are different.
That's how it is.
But I love the education and your passion behind it, Duane, because you growing up, I get to kind of see how much you've grown up because you've changed. I was telling a story the other day where it's just like, dude, I remember Duane was like, dude, just dropping dudes and like, all right, who's next? But you as a killer, you were a straight up freaking killer.
I had issues.
This guy will tell you story after story, but it was great, and we'll get into those types of things. But what was the question about Boss?
I don't know, but this is one thing I was gonna say though, like we were comparing Thai boxing to in Dutch style. Just knowing you as in our fight career, we trained together a lot. You were total Dutch. When the bell started, you were on them like nonstop, huh?
I was working through things.
Sorry. Man.
So that's the growth. So that's another thing too that I think a lot of this sport.
It was allowed.
Oh no.
So when you're in rules, you got a rule set. I got to watch your second fight today, which I never got to see your second pro fight, and it was like, dude, you were so pulled back. And once you opened up, it became Duane a little bit, where your forward pressure, your combinations, and just you bite down and put your head down. I always love to see you get hit in a fight because dude, Dwayne's like, dude, he drop his hands for a second, look at him like, you just hit me, but. He just said he was going through things. So this sport is great for a release. Like you can see what a different person. I know deeply in my heart because you're able to go through, find yourself, find what your purpose is in life, and that's a really cool thing. But I'm gonna go back on that, Boss, because I wanted to know this because you asked me and I was like, I have no idea. How did you meet Boss?
Yeah, that's it.
Well, I've always known of Boss.
That was the question. I told you.
A fight fan and would get VHS tapes from a place called K-1 Martial Arts. And back then, you go rent and you watch, rent like the Gracie in action and stuff, So I've always known of Boss. And my dad and I, once I graduated, we drove out to Las Vegas to watch the first K-1, which was in '97. And I got to meet Sensei Boss there. And this story sticks out to me because I knew who he was and what he's done. And with the time change, Sensei Boss and Peter Arts were up early in Vegas. And people really are up early in Vegas if they're still up. If they're up that time, it's because they're still up, right?
Yeah, they stayed up.
I was excited and young and wanted to meet the fighters. And I'm hanging out by the elevator. And Sensei Boss comes down and my dad makes a photo of us and like little wind-up disposable like Kodak thing, And then he walks off and does something. And then Peter Arts comes down shortly after, and then no one's around to make a photo of Peter Arts and I. So Sensei Boss takes the thing and then makes a photo. So I thought that was super cool that he did that. And then he just told me like, keep training martial arts. It helped him become a champion, and like the structure and guidance of that was really cool. So I always remember that. And then fast forward the next year, I'm teaching at Champion Martial Arts, and they used to have full-on UFC fights. They had a cage that one of the cages was in
the low one, the one that was like back height.
Yeah,
like shoulder blade height. Yeah.
So that was called the Battlecade. And when they shut down, the promoter or the school owner, it was a big facility. It was a gymnastics facility, but in a corner they had martial arts. But they bought the cage and they had full because back then Colorado did not have a commission, so they had full-on UFC rule fights there, and that's how Jens Pulver got into the UFC because.
In Colorado?
In Colorado.
Wow.
I don't know if that was his first fight, but
dude, I'm getting so educated right now.
So it's called Champion Martial Arts, and the UFC used to have an affiliate program, and we were like an official UFC affiliate.
I mean,
gym
first
somehow.
UFC fight was in Colorado too.
Yeah,
so
first
that's
one,
super
and
cool.
I think the first and the second one. First one was at McNichols Arena, which is torn down now. The second one was at the Fillmore, which is still standing. And I think the third one was in Wyoming, but the John Peretti was a matchmaker. And I'm assuming this is how the connection took place, is we were an official UFC affiliate gym. And so he was in contact with John Peretti, who was a matchmaker at the time. And then it was called the Lone Wolf Invitational. But then once Sensei Boss came out to be the special guest, I fought on the card and won. And then Sensei Boss would do a seminar the next day. So I would always win my bracket, whatever, and I would do his seminars. And then he liked of course I loved who he was. And he liked my fighting style so the Dutch style, I was doing that before I met Sensei Boss actually because of Rob Kamen's VHS tapes, which I got from Tigron, going back to the Pancrase tapes and then Rob Kamen's instructional tapes, who are still badass tapes to this day. Rest in peace, Mr. Kamen. He did a lot for the martial art world with the detail he put in his instructional courses are still gold to this day. But that's how I met Sensei Boss. So I met him in Vegas just as a fan, and then a year later, he's the special guest at a show that I'm fighting on, and then he would do a seminar the next day, so I'd always do the seminars. And then he realized the high altitude aspect here. So when he did his UFC heavyweight training camp against against Randleman, he did his camp here. So I got to train with him every day for 3 months. So that's how we really grew together. And he, I learned from him. He didn't grow from me, maybe, but he says actually he does give me some credit. But that's another story. Maybe I'll let him talk about that. We get him on the podcast.
Absolutely want to have him on with you.
The lineage seminar.
Yep.
So that's how I met Sensei Boss. Just random coincidence, but like, what's the timing that I'd meet you?
Crazy.
Meet Sensei Boss.
Dude.
Like all my instructors were legitimate
The purpose.
masters.
Once you get a
like,
drive,
I'm supposed to be doing this.
It's God given. So when you start to think about things, this is another thing. I go into the mindset a lot, guys. Is if you want something, you have to dream it, you have to feel it, you have to taste it. Every championship is won in your mind prior to you getting it. Yeah. So these, I love to listen to hear the way he speaks. And guys, go look up Boss Rutan. If you're fans that are watching and new to the sport, Boss Rutan, he's been in movies, superstar. When I met him, I had no idea who he was, and I was like, who is this guy? Like, he was super manly, bald head, the way he spoke. Everybody knew who he was when I first got it because he got me into MMA, this guy right here. Peter Arts, go look at him in kickboxing, another Dutch-style kickboxer, heavyweight, super just, didn't even look like a fighter really, man. His kicks were so nice. I just love to hear all about this. But he spoke so much about the UFC. I want to give you some knowledge. I bet you guys had no idea what UFC stood for at the beginning for the first, like, you said the 2 fights were in Colorado, 1 in Utah. It used to be called Uncle Freaking Charlie. Oh. And you're going over to Uncle Freaking Charlie's house to fight.
Stop it.
I got I got to make people dumber too. You know what I'm saying?
Trevor.
You know, I got to make people dumber. Sorry about that. Like I can't even speak at your level. Like, you know, he called me a master. I'm over here like, dude, you know, I'm I lost my notebook.
But what you and Sensei Boss have in common are actually a lot. But you genuinely care for the student, and you put your whole, when it comes time to train, you're there to train. Like you did not fuck around, even though like you do and you have fun.
No, I have
you
fun.
Make training
fun. Yeah.
Yeah, Sensei Boss, he makes it serious, but you're still 100% engaged with your students and your athletes. So I don't try to do that with my students. It just happens. And I think it happens from being around you and being around Sensei Boss. So thank you for that. And hopefully I'm carrying on what we say like the annual lineage seminar. Like we truly have lineage of martial arts. You know? So it's an honor for me to still be in contact with you and you.
It's an evolution. It's the round table. So when you get to speak like this, like I can only come up with so many things in my head because I have a perspective. I see out of one side. And once you start to understand like how the mind works, you start to go, I want to see it from the other person's. Then you start to create other game plans. I've always been really good at that, seeing other people's game plans. One of the big things I do with my athletes is, it's a hard question for a lot of them, is how would you beat yourself? And that's the opposite side of the perspective. You're looking at yourself in the mirror and you're going, oh, these are really my faults and where I'm weak. This is where I got to get better. So you start to really understand that evolution. But when you get at a round table and you get all these different perspectives, there's so many different angles that you can hit. And that's what's freaking cool. Yeah. And that's what he's speaking about.
But that's what makes you a great coach, because you allow that. You don't just teach somebody what
my
you
way,
know.
My way.
You make it a conversation, you know, and I learned that. Like, that's one reason why TJ was able to become TJ, because I don't want to say I allowed it, but that's what was supposed to happen.
No,
I didn't, like,
you enlightened it. All you did was enlighten it.
But people don't fucking do that is the problem. Yeah. You know, like people like shove what they want down the student's throat, and that's not the way to do it. Like you gotta Proverbs 22:6. Train up a child according to the way he should go, and he gets old, he won't depart from it. So it's obviously the ways of the Lord, but it's also teaching me to meet the student at their level and build them up to highlight what they're good at, because sometimes they don't know what they're good at.
Yep.
I'm sure.
No, absolutely. You sit back and watch. You can see what they like to, like a dog. Watch a dog. What toy do they like to play with? Don't force the other toy in their mouth if they're not playing with it.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you for that. For allowing me to
and
be
the
me.
perspectives, dude. Like how you said that those different angles. Mm-hmm. I was very good at seeing different angles because I was cross-eyed a lot in my life. I would look. I see like, dude. I used to tell people when I fought, if I knocked both of them out,
dude,
I beat 2 people in one fight. It was really just one. I just had really bad. My lazy eye just kept going.
See, he makes it fun. You know, like you're fighting the best people in the world, but. The beauty of that, though, is because then you're keeping it playful, and then it's not as stressed out, so you're able to perform on a more free-flow spirit in your subconscious. So that brings up a story when I was fighting in King of the Cage, and I was fighting a guy who apparently had 1,000 street fights, and he asked to fight me, so I didn't like
the
that.
dude with the shoes on. I'm always going to say the dude, hey, what we just watched, the orange canvas, the dude with the shoes on that gets like dropped with the headshot where he like kind of falls.
Dude, he asked to fight me, so I took it personal, but because it became personal, like I was like kind of tensed up and nervous, you know? And I had no idea what Sensei Boss was doing at the time. It's on these Native American Indian reservations. It was no commission. You know, I think there's maybe an ambulance there, but the point is like not the best like show to fight for. It's a great show, but not a lot. You get hurt, like, it's kind of on your own.
That was martial arts back in the day. Yeah,
but I'm nervous backstage, and Sensei Boss goes, "Hey, if you want to throw the guy off, we'll do the Karate Kid," like as a joke, you know?
Daniel's son.
And I'm like, I'm gonna go fight in a cage right now. Like, can you give me some serious advice? Yeah. But that was the serious advice because it allowed me to laugh and be free. Yep. So then during the fight, I actually did the Karate Kid just to make not make fun of him, but to make fun with him. You know. Yeah. So, but then that became the logo.
It was your brand. It's your brand.
But it came from
Genki Sudo with the way you walk off. If you want to go look at something, he's talking about joy. Yeah.
I first did it in King of the Cage.
But Genki Sudo, one of my favorite parts, and this is something that's set in my mind. And I wasn't at this fight. Boss was actually in the corner for that fight. And I wasn't at the Genki Sudo fight. When you did that, like you've done it many fights. There's many fights that you have done that. But you did that, and he was pulling guard at that point. Genki Sudo was one of the most awkward style fighters. He would come out with Kung Fu, show his back, like super cool stuff. but you're like bleeding out of the nose.
So
Like, dude, but you did it. And the way that you walked off with just pure joy of just like, dude, like, you look at you sitting on your ass right now. You don't want to get up. You like back crawling. I love the joy of that one.
What was that, UFC 42?
That was UFC 42 in
Yeah.
Miami.
Dang, 42.
That's what I knew. I knew. That is when I knew I was going to pack my shit.
Oh, wow.
And move and live up here and learn from you.
Thank
When I saw that fight on the UFC, we would watch it at my brother's house, order the pay-per-view, and we saw you, and I was like, dude, this guy's in Denver, Colorado. I got to come.
Really?
cool.
Because you'd say, we all won. And I was like, dude, I thought his Spanish was really bad. And Genki Suda used to have the flag with all the flags
We
on
all
it.
won.
Yeah.
Dude, I was like, what do you see?
We all won. But he was like the man.
He
right?
really was good, yeah.
And
That
then
was awesome.
we
And he
had
was a
this
great,
good-
he showed that flag. That was a
Yeah.
respectful thing
Yeah,
because
he
I'm
was
a
the-
big believer
Yeah.
that, let's all treat each other how we want to be treated. Love
Yeah.
it.
I remember that UFC 42, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, Duane Ludwig."
Can you
He's
tell a
good,
story,
man.
Luke? Tell a story what it was like to come out here and train with this guy. Because this guy, I'm
Man.
telling from a perspective of a coach. So he reminds me so much of Justin because Justin and I have to pull back. When he competed, when Duane competed, though, I love to see him take a punch, and it's like Justin too, because now it's real. Because now it's like, oh yeah, oh we in this, and you're one of your favorite words, and excuse my language, and you might have to just blank this out because we did get pulled back on the pushing of our podcast because of Corey.
Nah,
Corey doesn't
keep
even say a
it.
lot,
Just
but
keep it.
when you use the way you say, come on, bitches. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, you had that look on your face. It was just one of those sayings, dude. I got funny stories that I'm probably not going to talk about, but I want to talk about you afterwards because they're so fucking funny. But
I have so
talk
many
about it,
stories
Luke.
with
Let's
Duane,
go.
But it's made me the person who I am today. There was
you for that.
the push came all out of love. Like honestly, like I had no idea what I was capable of doing until this guy actually pushed me. There was times where, this is guys was my, how you said idol earlier. I have no problem calling you my idol because you were, when I saw you on TV and I said, I want to become like him. I want to be in the UFC like him. Who was I? A kid out of Nebraska, small town. And I was like, if he can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
I did. I said, he's out of Denver. I can do this.
Yes, nice.
Right?
Good.
And I came up here, and I remember T's gym, and there was you. There was a Nate Marquardt. It was like who's who.
Yeah.
And I came in there, and I sparred for the first time. And holy cow, you know that saying, "You gonna cry in the car?" Oh yeah, I got done crying in the car. But I was like, dude, I called my brother up. I was like, man, you think that job's still there at the railroad there? I'm gonna come back home. He
man.
goes, what? What's going on? He's like, I'm not good. I just got my ass kicked every round. I am not ready to do this. And I went with Duane. And Duane gave me a feeling that I've never felt in my life. Knees to my gut, kicks to my
Coming
gut.
from everywhere.
Just everywhere. I was like, dude, this guy is so good. And mind you guys, this guy did not take it easy on you. You were begging to wear headgear.
Yeah, totally.
But I loved it. Like, it was something so cool. Anyways, he called me later that day, and I'm ready just to pack stuff and go back home and just go back on the railroad, right? And he called me. He goes, "Hey, Vato, good job today, man. You know what I mean? Like,
Totally
that's
him,
the way-
too.
totally do it. You did good. We'll do Red Rocks tomorrow." And I was like, "I did? Okay." And he came pick me up. I remember like the first week, me living in Colorado, in Denver, he would come pick me up, and I would go train all day long with this guy. And we'd go to Brothers Barbecue. And
All the time, right?
Yeah, and it was just a moment in my
I
life.
guarantee you were selling some Fairtex stuff out of the back of the car
Yeah,
with us.
hustle.
Dude,
Tap out.
you were as a hustler,
We got tap
bro.
out. Yeah, we were hustling. But this guy would pick me up, and we would go train all day long, and I would not come home, and I'd be like, what? My body would be wrecked. And I was like, man, and he'd come pick me up because I didn't want to drive in the city because I was scared to drive in the city.
Oh, wow, yeah.
After that first week, man, I was like, I'm going to learn how to drive because I ain't going with this guy no more. All day long, we would trade till the night. Yeah. And that's what he was, though. He was all about it. Yeah. And I just, I was so grateful because I've learned so much. And I got a job at LA Boxing. Remember that?
That's right. Yeah.
And I got to work there and be as a fighter, too. Man, there was times where you would come in and we would just schedule me, Tyler Toner, you, and we'd all hold pads for each other in the ring. And those were times where I just didn't really know what I had. But I look back at the pictures and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, man, those were the good days,
Yes, sir.
man.
Yeah.
So
and
fun.
I learned so much from you, holding pads, kicking, like stuff that I was showing Xavier today, like
cool.
the knees and stuff. Like you were teaching me. Like it just, you know, I'm nowhere near as a Trevor and yourself, but I take everything you guys have taught me and just kind of molded myself.
Thank you, sir.
And it's been such like, what do you call it? Passing on the torch?
Yeah.
Because it's been so a blessing, you know, to be on Justin's team.
Yeah.
And, you know, I represent you. You know what I mean?
Thank you, sir.
But you made it to a high level, Luke. Like you made it to the UFC, and then obviously like this sport is hard in every fight. I've seen guys that were so good in the gym that I'm like, this guy's gonna be a world champion, and then he just had a bad run. You know, where it's like, dude, just things happen. Like Luke, you were tough as shit. You put on some of the best fights that I've ever witnessed. You know, I love the Mexican culture when it comes to fighters because they all could take a punch really good and they hit hard as shit. Like you had that overhand, right? You know, I told him to move his head. His head was a little big. He's like, Coach, look at it. It's like size of Jupiter. Like, how am I supposed to get this off the line? I'm joking, no, but he was a pleasure. Like you were tough as shit.
There was a fun time. Dwayne would corner me one time. Dwayne was cornering me one time, and this was a fight. It was a Ring of Fire championship, and the winner was going to go to the UFC.
Dennis Davis, right?
Yeah, right. And he wanted me to win. I thought I was winning, but apparently not. And come back from the second round. I sit on the stool looking for my water. You know what I mean?
Dude, he got relaxed. His neck was relaxed.
I just was relaxed.
Oh my God, that's so awesome.
Twix comes right down in front of me. You know, he's real intense.
Real intense.
Are you gonna throw more than 1, 2? And I'm like looking for the water and stuff. And then whack!
Dude slapped his ass.
Just bitch slapped me right in the face.
Did it wake you up?
Oh,
all of a sudden he was like,
my
yes,
ears
sir.
are ringing. I was like,
Sir, yes, sir.
What? And he was like, you gonna throw more than 1, 2? I was so scared to answer that because I thought it was a trick question.
So he was
I
just
won the
throwing
fight.
one single punch at a time.
Dude,
I thought if he throw 2 or
dude.
3 pieces, he would have more success and could catch.
Absolutely.
Listen.
Dude, instantly your defense got better when he slapped you because I was sitting like third row at that one, you know?
Yeah.
And dude, right as he slapped you, went like this.
Yeah, I was my
Dude, you got your defense up. Hey, sometimes you got to be in the fight, Luke.
Yep, I got. We were fine.
It's fun times, dude.
guy,
This is so many fun stories
the guy,
that we can tell.
From,
oh my gosh.
Extreme Couture, Dennis Davis.
Dennis Davis, yes,
Yeah.
sir, yeah. And he trains in the system.
Yeah,
now there,
yeah, he's
so
good.
It's cool to still keep him in the
Yep,
family. you
yep.
know? That's
But we got him though.
Dude, so awesome, dude.
Oh no,
These stories are the
so
best.
many stories with Dwayne, but you know, it's
Can I tell a
great.
little story before we get into our little rounds?
yeah.
But there's a story. So he came up and worked, and I was running a gym, so I was a lumberjack, and one of my funnest jobs I've ever had.
That was fun.
Like just so fun. And we were cutting for a guy who was, you know, paying us hourly, paying us cash. And he had this Land Rover that, you know, old Land Rover that pulled this chipper, and we had to go clean his land, and he had like 50 acres. So we'd have to go trim the trees and then, you know, log the dead trees. And, you know, he was making a place for horses where you could walk it as high enough so that your head wouldn't hit the branches.
That's the
and
piece
then
I
also
miss.
fire, you know, it helps when you cut the trees up. And it's beautiful land that we were at up in Evergreen. And he was like, hey, I'm trying to get this done quicker because it was just me and Jake doing it. And we were like, hey, Dwayne, you want to come make some money? Because he was hustling. He was always hustling, selling gear. You know, he'd get these sponsors that he'd sell the gear, make some money. Like you had to hustle back in the day. You had to sell your tickets for the fights. Like it's a really, really unique world to get to where he was at. And I was like, dude, come up, do some lumberjacking. And he's a hard-ass worker. Like, this guy will work. I know he's going to work hard. So I was like, all right, do this. Dude, me and Jake, we go back over to do our thing, and this is like one of those jobs. It's like, hey man, you can smoke a little bit of, you know, Sensavita. That's what I was into that back then. I can't really do as much as I, you know, here and there. I still enjoy it. I still think it's not a bad thing for you, you know. But everybody has their own beliefs. We walk over and we do our thing, and we get in our own world for a little bit. Jake's doing his thing. I'm doing my thing. I come back over to check on these guys, make sure they got gas in their chainsaws, and we had pole saws. They had pole saws at the moment. And I come over, dude, and I went from like Colorado Rockies to straight Florida, dude. I look
Palm
over
trees?
there, dude. They had palm trees, dude. These pine trees are like palm trees, dude. They cut them so high. Like I was wondering if he stood on like Leonard's back, and Leonard's like this, like trying to hold him. He's like, we can get up a little higher. It's so fun though when you start cutting with the chainsaw. Like you're really like every branch. You're like, I'm gonna get that one. I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna get this one. And dude, it was the funniest thing. I was like, dude, we gotta down these trees so quick and say they were dead. You remember that, dude? It was the best. And Leonard was so awesome. Leonard
he's a worker too.
Dude, he was a worker too. It was a blast. I really enjoyed that job, but I'll never forget because it was my fault. I didn't train him. I was just like, hey, cut him about this high. You know, and it wasn't
I thought
like
they
hey,
said cut him as high as you can.
So exactly. So there's
I
no
bet
one's
against
fault.
you, Darren.
Dude, exactly. It was like a game. He's competitive. He's like, mine's higher than yours, dude. Dude, I'm telling you, a pine tree looks really good as a palm tree. You should try it, dude. Fun times. All right.
Man. All right, let's get started, huh? Round one. I need to know, Duane, what has been the keys to your success?
I think I've been blessed to be a hard worker and having struggle as a child. I think, to be honest, having to kind of fend for myself. I don't know. I have an initial, I think, thing to be like, not that I'm as honest as I want to be, but to be honest and do fair and to work hard for wherever that comes from. I think that's and not having food sometimes and being evicted and in struggles as a child and bullshit, but still we live in America, so can't complain too much. But I like to say it was just X, Y, Z and this and this and this, and like I learned from whenever watching like what so I guess backstory. So I got the opportunity to move with my dad when I was 13, and I stayed with him until I was 17. So I got 4 years of like being around him, and he was awesome. But until then, it was like a lot of chaos, and I think I had to figure shit out on my own, to be honest. So I want to make sure I survived. So I think that's where a lot of it comes from.
Yeah, hard work.
Yeah,
dedication. Yeah, as a fighter and now a coach, have you think you've learned?
But then go back to Bruce Lee and watching the Sabakis and watching Rocky and Van Damme, like those were very inspiring to me. So like that's why I strive to become was like one of those people, and I think I kind of achieved some of that. So I've had good mentors in my life. They're just through video, to be honest. Like in all honesty,
Absolutely.
I mean, that's crazy.
And I learned a lot. I learned a lot of what not to do in my real life, and I learned what to do from watching videos.
Yeah.
Like honestly.
Absolutely, the studying. So
once I think about it, yeah.
And it's again, it's not manipulated. Like when you're watching a video, you're seeing something, you're inspired by it by some certain point, and there's a little bit of selfishness that goes with that, especially from what you come from. And again, this is not me saying this is how it happened with you. I know from my perspective of watching videos, my inspiration of trying to be something. I grew up. I traveled a lot. My father traveled a lot with Home Depot, and I had a lot of bullying. I was a very small kid, so being bullied, it was like you had to figure out a way to deal with it. And when I didn't have size, and if you go to some schools and you're going to either get kicked out or suspended or whatever, if you do fight, you had to find ways. And one of the ways that really worked for me was crowding people's spaces, like and making them uncomfortable and finding a way where they were, all of a sudden you're like right on them. Because I noticed a lot of times when I was bullied, they were bullying when they were around their friends. And I was like, oh, that's a pattern. And I wanted to watching like the karate movies. I'd have my little things. I'd look at my bag and I'd be like, "Oh, what'd you say to me?" Like it's kind of funny to me, but it's when you're a kid, you're somewhat abused in a certain way. Mine was abused from just moving and just being different and coming into a new environment. That's also what made me start to be somewhat funny. My social skills is I wanted to entertain people, so I kind of created who my character was. I love that my dad moved so much, and it was like a stressful thing when it happened. Every time I'd get a friend, I'd get a girlfriend, and all of a sudden I had to move again. It was stressful when it was happening. I would never change it because it made me a people person. It made me understand people. It made me understand, the social things and how people worked. Are they manipulating you? Are they trying to be your friend for a reason? Are they trying to get something from you? And I had to get karate because I had to learn how to defend myself. But that little sense of going through a traumatic thing, like you said, prior to moving to your father's when you were 14 is really cool to hear. When you grow up with things, you start to adapt. You have to adapt. If not, you're going to break down and you're going to get very inner. And that's just really cool to hear. How do you handle these different situations? And that's what's cool about this round is a lot of times it's hard work that pays off. I just work harder than the next guy. Kamaru would say that. Kamaru's like, I'm just going to work harder than the next guy. I'm going to be the first guy on the mats. Like everybody has a different life. They've walked different steps and they've worn different shoes. And that's the coolest thing is to learn perspectives on what made people be great. And I had perspectives of what I thought with you, Duane. It's close, but it's not what I thought. That's why I love to dig into these types of things, because you don't know what someone's been through. And just by the way you were with people, you fought so hard. And now I could see it. Like, you know, and when I first met Duane, he had these, what were the little dogs called? That was like
Jack Russell.
Yeah, Jack Russell, like in a mask.
Yeah.
That's what I thought about your dogs. And then it was pit bulls.
Got him, huh?
Yeah.
Then it was pit bulls, and like, dude, like you've always had like the tough dogs. Then I got to go see his new place, and he had chickens, and his pit bull just ate some chickens. Like, dude, it's like the animals are awesome. They're just, but you love them, and but you go through these times, and I get to know so much about you. I can kind of picture. I always try to be a visual guy. Like, what did your house look like? You're like, oh, that's like me. I love to like. Put a movie, like a video. Like, I want to see what it was like. Like, what was the movie of Duane Ludwig? Like, would be so freaking cool. But it's cool, like growing up.
Honestly, like apartments left to right, evictions, foster homes, like crazy shit. You know,
think of Karate Kid. Think of Karate Kid. He moves to a new town. He's coming from New York. He's got his little accent. He moves out there and he meets.
We were forced to move from not paying rent. So it was like,
oh,
it was like, it wasn't. It's like
the real time.
But it's like, you know, shit, like all my stuff. But like,
it's funny now, right?
So like, I'm kind of like a control freak now, because as a child, things were out of my control. Like a lot of crazy shit happened. I thought was like crazy at the time, you know. But yeah, just trying to be, you know, take responsibility and do what I think we're supposed to do. Like if you say you're going to be somewhere, be somewhere. If you're going to do something to your best of your ability, right? So just trying to be a man of my word as much as I can, to be honest.
And that's a thing. Like you remember this too, when we had class and it was 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock in the morning. And if someone was just coming in 5 minutes late or whatever, he would call them out and be like, "Oh, we can start now. GSP is here." He didn't give a shit who it was. If it was Rashad Evans, Shane Carwin, or whoever, GSP.
And I thought he was from a military family for so long. Right? Because the way he would fold his clothes on the corner of the ring, dude, they were little squares. And, dude, he would have his mouthpiece just ready to go, like so perfect. It was the freaking best. Like I thought you were from a military family, and that's again perspective.
I appreciate what I have. You know, I always have a lot of stuff.
I know what it was. It was Affliction jeans and Affliction shirt, because that's what you're sponsored.
For sometimes, it
was.
But you know, I appreciate when I always have stuff. So now that I have stuff, like when I would have it, like we want to take care of it, right? Yeah. So it's just appreciating what's coming to your life, right? So I try to make sure like I appreciate you guys and all
absolutely.
This. So you know, taking this vapor of life and taking it not as serious as you can, but enjoying these moments, right?
But that's why we can still mess with you, Duane. Like, we love you because you haven't changed one bit. That same person. Well, I say that in a different way.
A little bit.
Yeah, like
he was a freaking dude. When he got his eyebrows like this, I was like, oh shit, dude. His pupils. So there's I do not mean there's a short interruption. When I hit mitts with Duane, it was so different. His pupils go black.
Yep,
dude. And I'm like, bro, we cool. Did I say something? Like, yo, let's get this shit out on the table right now. Like, we're supposed to trade right now. He get that look. He's like, oh, what's wrong, coach?
It doesn't matter if it was
like a wildcat.
Like hitting noodles, right? Like hitting those noodles. Yeah. It was just straight, like blackout, like ready
blackout.
to go.
I loved it.
I know. The intense. But like I'm saying, like.
So I don't know where that comes from.
Just the person who you are now today is actually the same person you were when you were fighting. You're just a lot more mellow, right? I mean, your intensity has came down a lot. You know,
more efficient with everything.
Yeah, you know, family.
It's like learning
maybe
how
it's changed.
You know, how hard do you pet the rabbit? You know, it's like learning.
Sorry, Lady. I didn't mean to break the rabbit.
You know?
Hey, I wish I would have knew this stuff, because as a coach, I would have had like a button-up shirt with an eviction sticker. And dude, once you open that door and you open the buttons, it's like, yeah, they know you was there. They know you seen it, dude. I would have got more of those black pupils, dude. Thank you for telling like the full story, because that's the sensitive stuff, and I'm having fun with it. Like you know, I can do that because I know he ain't gonna hurt me. He likes me.
Martial arts was my culture. You know, it's what helped raised me. Obviously with the people around me and the Lord, but like being, you know, having a place to go, and it allowed me to be my identity. So I just want to make sure that. Like the value that I've got from martial arts, I want to like continue and share it forward. So
absolutely. And there was never a time that like when you were watching Bruce Lee and he's like, "Be Wata," and you're like, "Our Wata got shut off."
Yeah, really. Shit. Yeah. But you know, with that being said, because you mentioned that before,
that's for like, Luke. Look at him. He's gonna have asthma attack. Inhaler. Sorry.
Yeah, that's why you've mentioned that, and like. You know, it's funny because that's true what he says to be like water, but that's assuming the student is balanced, coordinated, has a set skill set that's not so much in the brain but in the soul, and they can allow that to happen. But until you've downloaded and programmed yourself whether it's externally or internally, bringing it out, right?
Externalize the internal champion.
Yes, sir. Then you're not going to flow with no water. You don't have no water to flow with. Right?
Absolutely.
So every time you train and you perform a rep, what I'd say is you're adding a drop of water to your bucket or your pot of knowledge, right? So that you can actually flow in the future. But now, when you're training, what's your intent training? Because you're building habits regardless. So they're going to be good habits or bad habits, So it's like having intent with the training is an important concept as well. Not just training and one day I'll be good. Like, well, maybe with the right intent, because when you're training, you're performing an action, you're wiring yourself for a certain procedure. So how efficient do you want to be for that action that's taking place? So I think in the highlight video, I'm pretty technically sound, right?
Absolutely,
So,
dude. That's what I loved about you, because kickboxing to me at a certain level, I'd go to Keith Smelter's shows. I've been to a few of those shows, and they were awesome. Like one guy has a pair of gloves on, the other guy has shin guards on. The guy with the pro gloves on has no shin guards, and you could choose, but. I was like, I just didn't believe it. I was like, boxing would kill these guys. Because you took me to Japan, and having you, I was like, dude, you're technically sound. And when we went to Japan, I was like, fell in love with martial arts again, because martial arts was my life. I wanted to be a ninja as a child. So super cool. Like the intent, awesome.
And that's one of the things too. Is like because like Taekwondo and karate can have a negative connotation in the perception of like selling belts to me and faking none of them can fight. I've been around karate masters, and I know if they can fight. It just depends on how you're training and performing, executing these things, because there are people who will pay for a belt, and there's people who earn the belt by traveling in the world. So I take that serious as far as the goal setting and laying out the step-by-step process to build up a student, to meet them at their level and build them up, and to know what rank they should be at, because there are levels to the game.
I love this.
I'm dead serious with that as far as like my ranking and stuff, because people say, oh, there's no ranking in Muay Thai. Well, maybe not yours, motherfucker, but mine is, because I put the goals and the steps together to know exactly where they're at, because we go off our colored rank shirts, which I got that idea from Amal Easton, but also the belts and the stripes on the belts, because when I see their belt color and their rank, how many stripes they have, that tells me what's their next step of involvement and development to help them become a little bit better for the next stage. Because again, there's levels, right? Like I mentioned earlier, if somebody knows nothing, what would you teach them? Well, let me know what you think about this, but how to stand up, keep their balance, shift their weight, maybe some footwork, and then you teach them a combination first. No, I would say maybe the jab, right? Maybe the cross, then the hook. And then you can tie those together, jab, cross, maybe jab, cross, hook, or cross, hook, and hook, cross. And then you just build from there. Kicking, okay, round kicks, now time the round kick, initiating it with the hook, and then a round kick, or a round kick, and then the hook. So there's just layers to the game, and that's what I nerd out on, is finding out how to meet someone at their level and build them up, because what martial arts did for me, I want to do that for people as well. So I do take it serious, and when my students wear a black belt, they've earned that, and they can fight and they can perform. Even though competition is not required, sparring is to a certain extent. So there is truth and purpose behind the martial arts that we're teaching. I do believe that there's a huge piece of human development and involvement that happens through the martial arts.
I love it, because this is, you told the story earlier about how serious you took martial arts.
Yeah,
your understanding, your knowledge of it.
Uh-huh.
A lot of people are like, "Oh man, you're kickboxing, and here you are, you're belting people." It's funny how you think of that. Boxing, you'd be like, "Oh man, you're doing it at this level." Like
it could be done at boxing.
It needs to be done in everything that you do, and what I mean by that is you have done it in such a true professional way. You had said, "Hey, I know if you can fight, I know if you can't. I know if you're just paying for belts," and that was my big issue, because when I was doing karate. And it was actually a pretty good karate, Kempo karate, but it was point fighting. And point fighting is first person to strike. And if you watch someone that throws a first point to strike, you drop your hands, you get stuck taking a picture when you're done.
And there's utility to that.
There is utility to that. But what it did to me, Duane, from my perspective, was it built the false confidence that I could really protect myself. And I went into a gym, and the guy asked me, he's like, "Hey, man, you want to box?" And I signed a waiver. I came back, and I was like, I definitely want to do this. And I signed a waiver for my dad. And went in there, and because I knew he would not let me. And man, I got my head gear turned sideways that time, and I was like, dude, I walked away home. Like, I thought I was a bad motherfucker. I landed the first day I punched, though. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But so it's like if you go to work at Home Depot, okay, and you come in to say, "Hey, man, I want to start working at Home Depot," and I have no experience. I'm just getting out of high school, and I put you in a management position, you're gonna fail.
Yeah.
And this is why there's levels to, hey, go start in the lot, then go into be a cashier, and then once you're a cashier, then become a front end manager to run the cashiers. Then, hey, now I can open a department. Now I can handle you got to take those levels up, and that's how people succeed, so they don't fall out. Obviously, like in boxing is one of those things that's combat. If you go in there and you're just tough as fuck, you're going to continue to do it because this is where you just, I can release. I got a lot of things going on in my life. You know, boxing comes from a lot of street living where I need to stay out of trouble and I need to release something. So those tough kids make it, and they just, by hard work and grit. But I think anybody can make it to any goal if they are determined to get there, long as they are taking the right path. You don't go and put someone in a raft and say, hey, I've never been on an inner tube before, and you put them down the freaking Colorado River because they're going to die. So this is my biggest pet peeve when it comes to like sports like boxing. You can go and be a professional fighter with no experience. Yeah. Not even, no karate, no nothing. Never put on a set of gloves. One of my biggest pet peeves, and this is why we need a national commission. It irritates me that I can go and fight someone, and someone on the promoter's card is like, dude, I just got this amateur. He's got 150 fights. I'm going to give him someone, someone he can feed on. He's never not fought without headgear, so let's just make sure he gets a feel for a 4-round fight compared to a 3-minute rounds compared to 2-minute rounds. And then they feed him to someone that's off the, hey, man, you need some money. The dude's like, dude, I need money to pay my rent, fucked up. And you go get a physical, and I'm a professional fighter. No other sport will do that. But this is why that type of system, and there's so many, I can go on and on and on about this.
Step in and lay out these boundaries.
This is why we need these types of things. But I don't want to drag this on too long. I want to get to round 2. So round 2, okay, is facing your fears. You're one of those guys that I don't think ever faced fears. I think you put people in fear, but I want to hear your perspectives. That facing your fears, meaning I want to talk about, was it fear of competing? Was it fear of performance? Was it just overcoming injury that you didn't think you were going to overcome? There's many different ways of what facing your fears
just
means.
Having an audience and having to perform is nerve-wracking for most people in general. Right?
So how did that feel for you? Like tell me an experience.
In the beginning, I didn't really care, to be honest, because I was unaware of it. I was too selfish. I did my first couple fights were actually in Clarence Thatch's school, 3D martial arts. Yep. My first 3 smokers.
Legend.
A smoker? Yeah, I think he was a smoker. He was badass.
Passed away. He's an amazing person.
Undefeated pro boxer, kickboxing champion, won the Sabaki
Sambo.
4 times.
Or Sabaki. It's not Sambo. Sabaki.
So he was under. So Clarence Thatch was under Concho as well. Concho no.
Oh, really?
He won the Sabaki 4 times. Yeah. So it's all full circle.
Dude, you remember how he walked?
Oh,
dude. I looked at him. He had such a limp. He was such a bad dude.
Well, awesome the hip injury is interesting. I don't know how much he stretched and maybe loosened some of his ligaments, but the story that he told me was he was removing a heavy bag in his gym and it fell, and when he fell, it popped out his hip. So that's what the injury initially came.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's just stuff, dumb shit, right?
Crazy.
But as far as facing my fears, they were my first fights were there, so I got the small audience and around people that I knew, so it wasn't like against the hometown guy in some other country. But fighting was nerve-wracking, but it turned up a notch once I had more responsibility, a wife, a mortgage, and kids. That's when things changed. I was like, I actually need to get paid. I can't just run around like a child fighting when I want to fight and selling Fairtex gear out of my trunk and just trying to make ends meet and having fun. When I had responsibilities, that's when the spotlight turned from me to again my responsibilities. So then I don't know if it would actually be fear. Fighting in general is just nerve-wracking for me for whatever reason, and I think for most people. But when it comes to once I got hit, then I was like, oh, is this motherfucker trying to hit me? then it would change, right? Like, oh shit, what is it? So then it would change, because you have your game plan, and you want to do certain things, and you want to do these things, and then, hold up.
Yeah.
He just punched me in front of my girl? Like, are you tripping, motherfucker? Yeah. So then it would change, right? But up until that point, it'd be very nerve-wracking. How I deal with it is I would just be a man of my word, and I'd, make weight and train and, be where I needed to be where I was supposed to be at that time, and just do what I needed to do. But as far as dealing with it, I guess just belief, I guess, right? Believing that you're going to be successful in what you're going to do. Because the 3 fights that stick out to me as far as in relation to this question, and I guess in order would be the Jens Pulver fight. It was my first world title victory, I guess, and he was at the time the UFC champion, and he was also the #1 pound for pound guy in the world. But I didn't care about that because I knew how I could beat him. It's like I knew I was going to beat him, so I wasn't scared for the fight at all. We trained hard. That's when I think one of the first fights.
You came to me for Jens Pulver, but Jens Pulver ended up pulling out of the fight.
Couple times, yeah.
And then we ended up having a kickboxing fight locally, and then we went back out to Canada for that fight. And it was UCC at the time, former TKO. Look them up; they're not around anymore. But what was his name? Stefan. Yeah.
But that fight, I just knew I was going to beat him, and just for whatever reason, even he was from the #1 camp in the world too, Milicia's fighting system.
Absolutely.
And then again, the UFC champion and pound for pound guy and whatever. But I knew I was going to beat him. I was very confident in our training, and then having Sensei Boss there, I was like, I just felt ready to go. My ISK world title fight against Malapet, I knew I was going to win that, and I wasn't scared for that. My fastest knockout in the UFC, I had my left shoulder was actually blown out. I had one arm for that fight, so I should have been scared, but I wasn't really that scared about it. I guess I focused on what I could do rather than what I couldn't do. So I think that's a good reminder. And I try to remind myself of that. I was like, okay, I can't do this. I can't do that. Okay, motherfucker, like, what can you do? Then do that, you know? So for that fight with Goulet, it worked out because, again, I had, one limb. I remember trying to warm up and trying to pummel. And as I was pummeling, I felt my shoulder separate. I'm like, fuck. So instead of focusing on that, I focused on what I could do. And with Sensei Boss would come at me and parrying through the cross, and that worked out.
That's what happened.
Exactly, right?
That's exactly what you did. You shuffled off to the right, dropping the right hand with your right foot falling back. It's amazing.
So I guess, I focused on what I could do and not necessarily the outcome of the fight, but just what I had to do. But now that I am a bit older and more of a instructor aspect, I was just present in the moment and allowed my skill set to take place, again, flowing like water, right? Because I've already put in the time and the work and the effort, and I just had to allow that to take place off of instinct and intuition, and not to be too stuck in thought, because then it gets clogged up, right? So how did you practice? How did you train? How did you wire yourself? You build have you read or listened to the book, The Talent Code, when myelin goes around the nerve endings? So apparently,
I have not.
You build like muscle memory, they say, but and it might not be describing the science behind it as it is, but apparently myelin is a form of fat, and once you execute a movement, your body is basically wiring yourself that way, and then the myelin will coat that wiring for you to respond in that manner. So like, what technique are you performing? Because practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes habits.
Makes habits. Absolutely.
How are you practicing? And are you practicing with, like, you're seeing the opening, or are you feeling the opening? Because you see and you anticipate certain things that are going to happen. Like, you're almost like present with that frequency, right? So having light sparring sessions like the Taekwondo point fighting, or like the Thais do, playful sparring, so that you're present in the moment and not worried about the outcome or injury, then it's a much better, I guess, downloading process for you to become a bit better and extract your potential. Does that make sense?
No, it makes a ton of sense. And from the facing your fears, like what he's speaking about is like what can you do instead of what can't you do. Yeah. A lot of times people feel fear, and it's an energy that doesn't feel right. It feels tense. It's like when you're in a locker room with a fighter. I'm not even gonna say locker room. I'm gonna say the day of, like when you wake up. The tension's weird. Your stomach feels weird. You feel sick. So there's like this weird, what's going on with me? Am I sick the day of the fight? Like my legs ain't working. You get the stutter step, and things don't feel right. When you look at fear, what's the opposite side of fear? It's faith. And when you have belief to just do what you can do, that's all that matters. And you just have to look at that other side. And every hard thing that you do in life is going to bring some type of benefit from it. You're gonna get something from giving something, and give it the right energy, give it the right look. I think it's very important that when you feel something that scares you, look at it and say, why does it scare me? And is this something I want? And a lot of times the things that we want scare us because we're either worried about performance or worried about, hey, one thing I've noticed a lot from my experience as a coach is the more experience that you get doesn't help with fear. It brings sometimes more fear because you've had more experiences. You've had where you had an arm dislocate in a fight, and you're like, man, what if this happens again? So you start to look at that. You start to look at, hey, I've been cut before. Like before, you notice that a lot with fighters who've never been stopped before or dropped. And they're invincible, they can't get hurt. And then all of a sudden, once they get hurt, they're like, oh my God, they feel that peace. But everybody's different in how they handle it. And this is why I like to get into the mind of what makes someone great. I never even thought you would ever even think fear. And a lot of it, we used to wear your, not a rosary, but it was the
scapula.
Your scapula. You can take it off, kiss it every time. And the reason why I want to bring the opposite side is faith. Faith is one of those things that you have to look towards of, I can move to this because of the trust of what I put in. If I'm doing the right thing will happen. And some people call it karma. from the way that you look at it and the way that you know it, your ultimate faith that you have is amazing. And being able to have that, you have to have someone's going to be in the corner with you. And obviously it's God and the way that you treat this. And that's a great thing. You have to have things on your side, especially when you're going out and doing scary things. So it's really cool to kind of hear that.
Well, but like having you in my corner and like see the other guy's corner, I'm like,
damn, I was Diesel though.
Like,
you know what I'm saying, bro?
You have like you're gonna go to a fight and you have Sensei Boss with you.
Yeah,
Like, you're gonna
dude, yeah.
That's
how I was picturing myself. Was like built like Boss. I was more like the guy, like, dude, that's giving the thumbs up. They're like, this guy knows something I know.
Yeah. So his name is in Holland. They count his name is Sebastian, but they say Sebastian. So it's a boss, Boston. So his name's actually Sebastian.
Damn,
really? They say boss, right? So BAS though, right? So believe and succeed.
Damn.
Right? So or be a student, right?
Damn.
Or badass sensei. Right?
It's funny you say that because like everything you guys were just saying right now,
how did you feel when I was in your corner,
dude? That's exactly what I was saying. It
Like,
wasn't
we'd go
even
beat
so
the other
much my
corner's ass.
It wasn't even so much my corner. If you couldn't corner me, I knew what I did in training camp. I had those circles, and I knew I had you as an opponent.
Yep.
And if I could face you, I could face anybody. It was that confidence, right?
Yep.
Going in there. Now, fast forward time, I'm not a fighter. I'm a coach now, and I get to see that whole aspect in Justin Gagey. I see every time we go out to fight, you know, I'm way more nervous than he is.
Yeah, it's
right?
Control. Yeah.
He is just as cool as a cucumber. Like he's like, this is a good day to die, boys.
Yeah.
You know,
Dude,
like
crazy.
he's
He
like
says some
willing
wild
to do
stuff.
that.
Yeah.
He's
He said
legit.
one thing in the locker room one time
What it
that
takes.
made everybody in the locker room go, what the hell? He goes, I'm breaking both feet tonight.
Yeah.
Dude, he says it with the most confidence. And that's a way, when you're going into battle, that's the one thing, too. Don't go into a fight thinking it's going to be easy because you ever do that, that's where fights become really tough. But talking about Sebastian, boss, mine was Mr. T. I pity the fool. So bad. All right, so our round 3. Do you mind if I jump in with this one, Luke? So this one is externalizing the internal champion. So when I talk about this is goal setting, and you have always been a goal setter. You've always been a guy that, especially now since coaching, like I can see it now as you as a fighter, but we didn't really speak about it. Like I always kind of paid attention to how you came in and like what are we looking at? You know, what's the next step to our journey? Yeah. And I've always been really into the mind and how do we get to these next steps? And to get to the top of the stairs, you have to make it one step at a time. Like, you know, a lot of people want to make it to the top of the steps on one of those escalators where they don't have to work to get to the next step. This externalizing the internal champion, how do you become something? And do you visualize? Do you set goals? What is the strategies that has helped you get to where you're at?
I don't know, but for whatever reason, I knew I was gonna be a kickboxing champion, and go to Japan. I actually studied Japanese in 6th grade because I knew I was gonna go there. But when I was 8, I was training with Concho, Shihan at the time, right? But I just always had this like natural drive for Japan for some reason, and I knew I was gonna be a champion, specifically a kickboxing champion. So my first world title victory was MMA, and I was like, that's not what I said I was gonna do.
The UCC
kickboxing, right? So, but I was like, my goal's not complete, you know. So once I got my kickboxing title, like I felt a lot of weight lift off my shoulders. But to answer your question, you know, I just had that belief, I guess, and I knew I was going to be an instructor and have my own school in the future as well. When I was young, for whatever reason, but I like to write things down as I did now, and it helps me track my thoughts and put things to paper. You know, and I mean, you know, in the Bible, God tells people to write things down, so it's like, you know, better listen to Him, and it makes sense for as much as my brain jumps around and as busy as I am. Writing stuff down really helps me put it, you know, to help bring it to light. I mean, I've got notes from high school still, just to keep them as souvenirs of martial arts, and when I was training with James Tigert and kickboxing, but not when I was doing karate when I was 8. But I do have kickboxing notes still saved. But fighting which is why I asked you to let me borrow this paper and pen, because I want to bring this to the point. So thank you for this question. Fighting taught me about goal setting, because when you have a fight, you know, you have a date, you have a weight, you have like the purse, how much you're gonna get paid. You have your rules, whether it be, you know, Muay Thai or, you know, modified Muay Thai or MMA. You have your promotion, you have your location. So, you know, the date, say it's, you know, 3 months out. So now you have the timeline 3 months out, and you weigh whatever. 170 and you got to make 155. So now, like, okay, I got to drop 15 pounds within 3 months. So there's 5 pounds a month. So it starts, the fighting taught me how to goal set, purse. Ninja needs that money, right? So, now I get paid to play karate. Like, that's fine. That's fun for me. Well, eventually you did. In the beginning you didn't. And then you're going to fight this guy at what rule set? So now you got to start figuring out, like, what's my skill set within this rule set? And, like, I'm good at 10 things. 5 of them are going to work against this guy. So now you basically tell yourself what to do. And I put promotion on here because the promotion would be in relation to the skill set, whether it be K-1 or UFC or whatever, right? And then location, you got to take that in consideration because it could be at sea level or it could be at high altitude, right? So you got to take these things. So again, having a fight really taught me about goal setting. So now it's got to change those topics as far as the dates. Probably still the date. Weight is no longer the thing, but the skill set, the rules, skill set, that is, because then I need to, be the person to do the work to have what I want. So if I'm going to open up a dojo or a school or a gym, whatever you want to call it, then you're going to be of service. And if you want to have a fight team, then that's easy. But if you want to help, be of service to the general public and help, maybe a lady lose some weight, then that's a different curriculum than someone who's going to be fighting, obviously, right? So then you have your children who, what Concho did for me, what Bruce Lee did for me, I want to be able to do that to people. So, what was the presence that you felt from them, that you learned, so you can do that, and go and carry that lineage forward, right? And be a good person and hopefully, shed some light in this world, right? So I want to make the place better where I was than, make it better than, what's the saying? Make the place better, leave the place better than the way you found it, right?
Absolutely,
So if I'm going to have that duty and honor to be the person who inspired me as a kid and now fill those shoes, I need to be at least them or better. Not that I'm better, but that's my pursuit, right? So that's your rules, right? Your skill set. Like, what are you doing? Are you saying, like, if it's a fight gym, they're showing up late? Like, why are you late, motherfucker? Yeah. But sometimes people need that because, again, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of people that specifically choose martial arts for combat, for fighting, they didn't come from the best background as a child, I assume, from who I spoke with over these years. And so they want that tough fatherly love because I think they didn't have that, right? So I'll be that person for them. Plus it's fun. Plus it's like, it's like gym room talk. You're like, talking shit, but it's of love. You're like, how we were.
Yep.
But I genuinely cared for you. I wanted you on time and to work hard. It's like, show up on time. Let's work hard. Like, quit being a little bitch. Like, but that's how I would talk. But there's some truth to that. And I'm not speaking to you, but I'm speaking to the spirit inside of you that tells you that you're not the person that you actually are. That's who I'm talking to. So
that's why you can say it. Many people couldn't. I'm not going to talk about it on the show, but God, that is funny.
Yeah,
it is true.
Yeah. That's honest, right? Because you have the voices in your head. One's telling you that you're badass, and one is telling you that you're not.
Yep.
Who are you listening to, right? So when I talk shit to people, I'm talking shit to the bad spirit. I'm not to the good spirit, because Luke 17:21, the kingdom of God is within us all, and that's not who I'm talking to. Sometimes I am when I tell you thank you and I appreciate you. That's who I'm talking to. When I tell you to quit being a little bitch, that's the spirit. That's the one that's talking to you. Like, quit being a little bitch.
The other one on the shoulder who's like, you don't need to be there on time.
Leave Luke alone.
You can stop for coffee.
We have shit to do.
Yep.
So again, having a fight set, really taught me about goal setting and being the instructor and the location. Where do you want to open your school? Where does it make sense as far as how can it be of best service? Is it in a town with 100 people or in the middle of a city so people can get you in all directions? And how a retail storefront do you want to be to impact lives, right? So it's again to be of service and to help people and become a like, should we live in America? Like, we should be as successful as we can be here, because try open up a gym and run a school and a podcast in Iran right now. Like, that shit ain't happening, right? So we're blessed and honored to be here at this time and place in history. So, and I'm not doing my best. I'm operating honestly about like an 80% frequency because I still want to have time to play with Little Boss, with my boy,
balance.
my kids, my family. So now scheduling things, right? So, you have a fight, you have 7 days in a week, you have 24 hours and 8 hours of sleeping, 8 hours of working, 8 hours of not play, but development to become better. So listening to podcasts and downloading some more information, new perspectives, and hopefully become a better service. And like that's us, is to push and to endure and to be on the path to, again, be of service to, help this world be a better place. Like, that's honestly what we need to be doing. So hopefully the better, and win-win, like doing to others as you want done unto you. Like, that's Jesus's golden rule. So, and not that I'm doing that, but I'm trying to do that. Not the best I can, but about 80%, to be honest. So
you spoke about writing with a pen compared to like typing.
Helps me But scientifically, apparently, it helps you retain the information a bit better by physically writing it out. So
the nerve endings, the amount of nerve endings it takes to write with a pencil or pen
tangible.
is throughout the hand, how many nerve endings you have, it is a true skill set. And what that does is it forces intention when you are writing, where a lot of times you type, you don't need nearly the nerve endings to be able to do that. So the retention from intention is so important. You will remember it. I can tell that you write things down and don't jot things down and go, then you'd have to be visual and say, how did the typing look? You can remember when you write something over and over, when you get in trouble back in the day in the school, you'd say, I will never do this again. I will never do this again. That is I'm not going to call it brainwash because that's a negative word. Brainwashing can be a great thing when you're trying to get to something, when you can write something. Dude, affirmations. When you say it, I had Rose doing affirmations all the time. There's something else that stood out to me when I was listening to you speak about that. Goal setting is one of those things that if you start to become a goal setter, it becomes a pattern. It's a pattern to a plan. You always have a plan, and you have a long-term plan, and you have short-term plans. The short-term plans to me are more important than the long-term, but you have to know where you're going. You have to have a destination. If you have a destination to get you to where you're going to be in, let's say Florida, I'm in Colorado, don't just focus on Florida. Focus on the little steps to get there. Focus on where you're driving through Utah and like whatever direction that you're going. If I'm going down south through Texas and then coming up this way, enjoy that process. I love how you said that you want to give back to the world through your goals, and how you were inspired to get into martial arts came from something, and then you want to be that part. And that's that part of giving. If you want something, give something. And your goal setting is really cool. I always ask, how does it feel to set goals and get to those? And I could feel that when you said that.
Yeah, like, so it just feels like what you're supposed to be doing anyway. Like I don't want it. Like I wanted to do it, but it also feels right. So like I'm kind of naturally driven to do it anyway. So I don't really have to try to do it. It just kind of happens, to be honest, But when one day when I go to meet Jesus and he's like, I gave you the precious gift of life to love or to hate. What did you do with it? Well, I'm gonna have to answer that, right? We're all gonna have to answer that. So I want to I had studied martial arts at the high level to share it. So hopefully that was good. Now that's just a piece of the puzzle, right? So
like if you came up there and you was like, I was just gonna drop my phone.
I was just hanging out.
I was there. You see this thing? You see this thing? Got me a Bentley.
He asked you that question. You're gonna have to answer that, right? So like, how are you gonna answer that, right? And with me saying that now, I'm like, shit, I need to make sure I'm doing a bit better.
No, this is. Yeah, go ahead.
No, just me hearing what you just said right there, like just the amount of time I've known you now over the years, and to the person you are today. With I'm talking like your family, Jess, your kids.
Oh, I'm so blessed. Yeah.
You are definitely on the right path.
Thank you, sir.
And you were doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Thank you. Yeah, it feels like it. Feels like it. Yeah.
Feels like it. You said 80%. The whole thing is I like that balance because you're not. I always say, it's kind of the slogan that when I make equipment or when I'm coaching, I'm not perfect ever, but I'm always perfecting. And that gives me that 80%. When I tell Justin, hey, man, if you want to knock someone out, it's got to come with placement with the perfect amount of power. If I'm throwing everything as hard as I can, go grab a bowling ball and throw it as hard as you can. You're not going to be accurate. So it's like I have to have, you talked about the family. I got to have my, I'm 80% doing this, but I have to have my time with my family. When you can find that balance of what you're trying to do, and what I mean by trying to do is like, what do you want in life? Give it. And if you can give something, again, I always use that term. If you want to get flipped off, flip someone off. If you want to wait, but find out what this world, there's nothing better than giving in this world. Instead of like, I worked at so many different jobs that I'd go and work and I needed money to pay for my house. Once I started doing something that I was giving to something and I got to see a reward and my chin would pucker up when I got to become a coach, my first time cornering, there's nothing better than helping someone get to where they're going, because I know the times in my life that has helped me so much in my life. I can go back to so many people, and there's thousands of people that have helped me get to where I'm at. But there's a select few that have really changed my life, and I want to be like them because they did something for me that I can't even explain. I can't even, and even if I tell you, you're going to be like, oh, yeah, what's that? It just hit me at the right time. It was the right thing to say. It was so perfect, and that is such an important thing. So it's really cool to hear your goal setting.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, it just kind of happens, surround yourself with good people and listen to good things and watch good things, and hopefully it comes together, right? So,
And your awareness is awesome because a lot of people don't have that. A lot of people, they struggle with depression. They struggle with not being able to go forward. Well, but you've been goal driven, and you've also put yourself in fear type base scenarios. I believe this world right now is we live in a social magnifying glass where you can find out social issues all over the world. And people go into it, and they're dealing with the negativity and all this shit that's in their face, a whole bunch of shit, and they're feeling it when it has nothing to do with them. Yeah. If you could focus on yourself, focus on your center, then your family, then your core circle around you, then your community, then it starts to build. Where all of a sudden, if you want to change the world, you have to start with yourself. So that's a really cool way to kind of think about it. Where I think a lot of people end up in depression because they're looking for a like from someone they don't even know. So they're in this fake kind of limelight instead of just paying attention to yourself. Yeah, stop looking outside of yourself. So that would be my 2 cents on that.
GFC, God, Family, Country.
Love it. Center. Right? Yeah. What's inside you?
Yeah. GFC,
Yeah. God, Family, Country.
I just picture myself like I put myself in Duane's shoes all the time. Like even when I have shitty days, because that's how big of a mentor you've been to me.
Thanks, sir.
Like I literally say, like, Duane doesn't really have shitty days. I'm sure you do.
Yeah, everybody has shitty days.
But you always have found ways to always better yourself, like get yourself.
And he always has a smile on his face. Like
most of the time, I think.
Always shake someone's hands. Always look someone in the eye. Like it's amazing.
You always have that head on your shoulders.
I think I already had the bullshit in my earlier life. I already went through it, so I'm like, fuck, shit's good now. I'm straight.
Right. The struggle though.
You know, it's struggle is real.
You when you go to a job, this irritates me. Don't go to a job and be like, all right, I work today and I'm like 2 weeks away. I don't get paid. Like you have to struggle. When you grow a crop, it takes how long before you can eat your? You don't think you're going to get a freaking apple today because you planted a seed today. Yeah. Like the struggle, like that's what we have to. If you want to have a better life, start now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really important.
How would you tell people to? I guess it depends on whether or not what they're looking to do. I guess we're having goals. I guess that what just comes to mind right now is like the martial arts. It helps keep people. So I've heard this though. So let me back up. Nick Diaz said this, that if it wasn't for jiu-jitsu and fighting and competing, then he'd be out in the streets because he knew he had to keep training for the next competition and cut the weight and grow his skill set. So martial arts literally saved him, So I may have some parallels with that as well. So, but it was the goal setting within the martial arts and the competition that helped keep him in line, right? So I think that's the huge piece, which is why I'm such a believer in martial arts and having a schedule and a regimen and growth and steps to just keep you accountable. Or else, idle hands are the devil's friends. So like, be busy.
Be busy.
What are you being busy with though? Right, is the point. So
my dog just passed away, and that was one of the hardest things because she was only 7 years old, and it's not been hard for me to put dogs down. Yes, I always get a little tear in my eye, but usually a dog's ready to go. My dog was 7 years old. We don't know what happened. The lifespan should have been around 14 years. And that next day, even speaking to someone about it, I just couldn't really speak about it. But what I did is I went and I started, finishing what I'm building around the washer and dryer. I had to just go and keep moving. We all have struggles that we go through. And the more time that you have to sit and just think over nothing, you're living in a different dimension outside of time. Always heals things. The next time when you wake up, it's going to be a new sunrise, and just keep getting that new sunrise every day. Struggles is really hard, and that's what helped me was just be active. So I love the active mind, and it comes from goal setting. Don't just dream. There's many dreamers out there that dream, I want to do this, and they're like, oh, I want to be a world champion. And I want to own 3 businesses, and I want to do this. Like, pick one. You win a championship by winning one round at a time. And what starts before you win a round at a time is you have to go and get comfortable with being in rounds. And so
with that being said, with you training so many champions over the years, do you think you can make a champion?
Absolutely. That's why I was saying earlier that I don't think you need to come from a traumatic lifestyle. Like boxing is like city people that it really helps them for a release. I think with the right system, with the right confidence, the right leadership, and someone to be able to externalize that internal champion. Because if that's something that you can obsess, you have to obsess it. I like the word addiction because it scares people. You have to be addicted to something you want. And that means that you have to put that into the balance of everything you do. But you also have to have that balance. If you have a bad family life or you have a bad if you could use it as a getaway, and now it balances it because you're like so negative over here and you put that much more time into it that you start to live that race. That's awesome. If you have a life that's so good on the outside, you're going to get really comfortable in the ring and the fighting's going to get really tough. So you need to be able to go, all right, I got to go and challenge my family to, I'm going to get my kids to work a little harder. Let's go mow the yard. It's going to take a little bit more struggle. Like, how do I balance things where you want a little bit of tension? Peaks and valleys is what kills people. When you're like, oh man, I won 3 fights in a row, that's to me not a good thing. So I always start to pull them back a little bit, like really let them know that we're stepping up levels now. So I have to keep them from peaking. And then also in the valleys, like when we start to hit those lows, don't let them hit lows. Let's just keep working. Like I just talked about when my dog passed away. I can't sit there and just bawl, dude. Like that dog made me bawl because I felt like I executed her. She looked at me like, dude, I'm not ready to go, but. By what was happening with her liver shutting down and the blood clotting, she looked at me like, why are you doing this to me? And I'm her protector. So when we have those hard things that we go through, we have to find center and we have to find balance. So when you start to get those first round knockouts, don't get comfortable. I'm telling you, you don't believe in one thing. You have to. What I mean by one thing is don't think you're gifted. That and I love from your faith standpoint, God gives us what we want. If you want to get over struggling, he's going to give you struggle. And this is like, you don't think it's going to be like, hey, I'm going to pray and I'm going to get an easy way in life. No, look for what's being sent to you. And this is just normal to me in life that I'm looking for what's going to be a challenge. I'm looking for the toughest fight. I love the fight that we got presented with Justin Gaethje because there's not a person I talk to that's like, oh, dude, you everybody's like, oh, damn, I feel bad for you. And I love those type of fights because these are the fights that's like, all right, dude, I'm going to show you that he's human. And I love this as a coach. And I love to be able to build the commitment in my athlete for these type of fights because the whole thing is we don't want an easy path. Movies are not made on easy fights. Rocky movies are made on him overcoming the hardest obstacles, being dropped. I love how it gets the rules. It gets dropped like 11 times per round. But it's the overcoming, and that's what we do in life. And that's why I would say I can make a champion at anybody if they're willing to struggle.
Yeah. Nice. He's done a pretty damn good job at it, too.
You really have. If there's anyone to do it, it's you.
Yeah.
That's my purpose in life. My purpose is to externalize the internal champion. I do it with everybody. I try to make them feel the greatest they can. Where they start to get too confident, I hit them with a dad joke.
Yeah, beautiful. So, but you understand that.
You're going to hit him with round 4?
Where did you learn that?
So where did I learn that? From experience. I learned it from listening to people that told me I couldn't do things. I listened to people who I don't think understood how life works, where they would tell me things where they weren't confident. They're just like, just do it this way, where they're stuck in a pattern that's like, a lot of people teach one way. You don't throw a kick that way. Like there's a counter to everything. And and I love that anything can work when it's used right. Like you have to understand that. And there's what really helped me was the two sides of every subject. There's a west and an east and a north and a south and a sweet and a sour. What's in the middle? The yin and the yang. When my wife is so opposite than me, has made such a great partner because when I'm feeling good, she challenges me. When I'm feeling down, she rubs my neck. Finding that balance in that yin and that yang, finding the center, is what's the key to everything. And that's what I mean. Find that balance point. Don't be the wave that's at the top. Don't be the wave that's at the bottom. Understand that you're in the center the most of the time and flow with that.
That's a pretty damn good analogy right there.
Good.
Yeah.
And that's why I go cross-eyed. I see west and east at the same damn time.
All right, let's move on. Jesus.
I cracked myself up. Thanks for laughing.
Gosh.
Those are my friends.
Listen up. This is the fourth and final round of the podcast. Guys, this is something that me and Trevor kind of put together.
We're testing things.
Yeah. We want to hand over the podcast to you, Duane. We want to make this the Duane Bang Ludwig Show. You can ask
his podcast. Anything. You talk about anything. You can ask questions. You could be like, yo, coach, you remember that one time? What the fuck? You was eating them damn Doritos when I was cutting weight. So it's your show.
Whatever you want to talk about, Duane. We're all ears.
So, Coach T, what's your next step as far as being of service? You obviously have the best equipment company out there with the quality products that nobody can compete with, and then you've been able to you've mirrored that with the way you've poured into fighters and you've made them the best. Like your fighters are the best fighters, and your equipment's the best equipment. What's your next business move? Like, where are you looking to focus?
If
there is one.
Yeah. So the shoot to the moon is to be able to help the industry that changed my life. Again, you had said earlier where there was it was Nate Diaz that said, hey, I'd be on the streets. I really feel like I would either be in prison or I'd be dead. I was not going down a good path until I found boxing and found myself, because I was told I was a bad kid. So what did I do? If you're going to tell me I'm a bad kid, and I'm going to be a bad kid. And I knew I was intelligent. I'd outsmart people who were older than me, but they were my elders, so I had to treat them a certain way. And so I was like, man, I know I'm thinking the right way, but even if I try, I'm still not doing good. So it's very hard for me. I want to give back to this industry that changed me, that made me believe in myself, because when you get in there by yourself, there's no one that can help you. And then when I found out that I could help people do that and go and find their self, because you learn so much about yourself when you're in a situation of chaos like that. That's one of my favorite parts about fighting, is when people fight. And then even if they don't like each other, they can go over and look at each other in the eye and say, I share something with you. You made me better. Because you're not really fighting an opponent. You're fighting yourself when you fight. So that's a very cool thing. That's why our logo is one-on-one, is that what you see behind us is that one-on-one feeling. So what I want to do is I want to be able to create an opportunity for all these fighters out here that don't make the money that the NFL does, that don't make the money that the NBA does. I want to help provide a performance institute, not just here, all around the world, that we don't charge. We don't want nothing from you. We want to give you the best opportunity with the best coaches. And I want to network with the best coaches in the world. I want to give my knowledge to them. I want to help them game plan if they want, or I want to protect them. If they want no one around, I don't want a fighter to have to sign an autograph after a hard sparring session, because right now we train in normal gyms and super gyms where other members train. People come in, sparring partner comes out to help this guy, but that guy's sparring partner is the guy's, assistant coach to the guy that we're fighting. Like, there is just such a weird thing that's in this sport that I want to help. I want to help organize it and elevate this game to the next level. I did it with equipment, and I want to help protect people in the sport so they last longer. I think it's very important that once you get on that money train, that you can leverage that money train. So again, I want to create something that I'm not looking to compensate off. I'm looking to grow the industry, and obviously it will make everybody on my team a great life. I'm not doing this for a monetary thing. I've always said that. People are like, you are crazy. I don't do anything for monetary. I do it to help what has helped me. Obviously, there's the return when you give, you will always get, and if I do it with the right intention. But I want to help the world. I want to help every athlete out there who just gets in there and challenges yourself, because I believe if everybody had an opportunity, even if you feared this stuff and you never say, I never want to fight, just get in there and sparred, your life would be so much better. And I want to change the world with doing that from my center, making people feel great. When you feel great, once you get into fighting, you don't go out looking for street fights, because you respect that shit. You're like, holy shit, I don't know who this person is. I'm not going to cause a chaos unless I need to. I would protect my family. But I think this would make the world a better place if everybody did martial arts. I think this world would just be such a. That's why I love being in the gym. Sometimes when I go to normal events, I'm always like, there's so many egos. The sport helps you so much with your ego.
I realize I still have an ego, because I'll go to some of the gyms and watch the guys fight, and then some of the new coaches, they don't respect a ninja, and I'm like, motherfucker, are you serious?
Isn't it crazy? But those are coaches.
I'll beat your ass and your
That's what I'm
ass.
saying,
right? But then I'm like, wait, that's my ego.
Hey, my commercial.
But I'm kind of honest with that.
So my commercial,
even though a ninja was tired, I still got that flavor. Just so you know. Yeah.
I actually, they took my commercial back in the day. Let go of my ego. You remember that shit? The little ego would pop out. Oh, that was ego. Sorry,
I guess a boastful.
Distraction.
I did just earn my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt February 6th.
Damn, congrats!
So I'm still training and learning.
Yeah,
so I'm a martial artist, and once down the path.
Who are you working with? Amal?
It was his best friend Alberto Crane.
Amal Easton.
Amal Easton. He's the reason why Jiu-Jitsu here in Colorado is so good.
Absolutely.
He's the first legitimate Jiu-Jitsu master to open up a school out here, and I think they have 8 or 9 locations now, Eastern Training Centers. They're the best at jiu-jitsu.
He committed to go to Brazil for a long period of time.
And then he took his buddy Alberto Crane, who's an affiliate of mine, who has his school in Burbank. Yeah. And I still go out there to train, and he gave me my black belt February 6th.
Amazing.
So like,
congrats, Holmes.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, but
I need some black suspenders. You know what I'm saying?
So like there's a thing when we teach our kids program, there's 5 rules of engagement when dealing with a potential bully. It's 1, avoid the fight if you can. If you're physically attacked, defend yourself. If you're verbally attacked, you follow the 3 T's. Talk, tell, tackle. Talk, you tell the bully, quit picking on me, I don't like it. You tell a trusted adult. And the 3rd T, if they keep messing with you, is tackle. So now you tackle them, you find a position of control and negotiate, because you don't ever want to punch or kick the bully. So double leg takedown, mount, and then negotiate. I suggest you quit picking on me or things get a lot worse. Why don't we just be friends? And then when applying a submission, that's the 5th step. If you have to, use minimal force and again, negotiate, But the beauty of jiu-jitsu, to be able to control someone, not have to punch them or hurt them or hurt yourself, is just a beautiful thing. Jiu-jitsu is the truest art out there for sure. For one-on-one combat with no weapons, we got to take in those considerations as well. But with that being said, the ego aspect of still like knowing what I feel I know and then still wanting to share it, because like when I see, and I've been, I guess I don't want to call out people or locations, but I've been in the same room with you at another school, and I don't think you get the respect you deserved by some of the coaches. It bugs the shit out of me, because like you're a master, they're like walking in front of you. I was like, there's certain lessons that I learned through the martial arts, where it's not just like a boxing fight gym that's kind of bleeding into that aspect of like MMA. There's still the core principles of what it takes to make someone successful, is the accountability and the respect of showing up on time. And I think I learned a lot of that from actually going to Catholic church Sunday at this time, sitting down and shutting up as a child, so I got to give some credit to that. But I think the traditional core values of martial arts still need to be into today's mixed martial arts of showing up on time, bowing on the mat. When you bow on the mat, you're emptying your ego. So that's why I want to bring that up, and then you're hopefully scooping up some knowledge from the room around you is what should be happening, but it's to show the respect for the arts of where you've been, where you're at, where you're going, because we came from somewhere, we're here for something, and we're going somewhere. So all these things just kind of blend in as far as martial arts and religion and life and accountability. But going back to having the ego aspect, I still know I could scrap. I still know I have to do it.
I told Terrence the other day, I said, Terrence, give me some shin guards, dog. I need to get it on back on the mat. I gotta represent.
Train, yeah.
But then I realized, 5-minute rounds.
You've been like backstage at the fights and stuff, and you see how some of the other coaches, not that I'm the best example, but you see how some of the coaches, like, I just don't like that shit, the backwards hat and the sag of the pants, and being not holding themselves as an accountable representation of martial arts or representing your athlete or your fighter or the UFC. Like, I don't assume. I see a head coach of a football team of an NFL walking around with sagging pants and a backwards hat, talking shit. Like, talking shit is fun. Am I hitting something or what is that?
You good?
I think there should be more of a respectable standard laid out. Maybe I guess we gotta lead by example, right? But
that's the
should
key.
Be out there, yeah.
So the lead by example. So if
would you say I led by example as a student?
Absolutely. So that's like a common thing in life that stands out to me. Is like if I always, back in the boxing days, I've been saying this for a long time. In the amateurs, when I would see people who were acting hood and being like tough and stuff like that, I always say, look at their coach. And guarantee their coach was acting just like that. So this comes from the bullying too. If a kid is acting bad, look at the parents. And a lot of bullying comes from parents. And I used to have a bully program that wasn't just for kids who were being bullied. It was for bullies who got caught bullying. And I was like, please bring them to the gym, because it's a chain reaction. It's that kick the dog type of technique. If someone gets hit, they're going to hit someone else. It's a reactive type of thing. So it's like, watch who that person is, and you're going to see them acting the same, because you're in a leadership position if they're acting that way. And every time that your students come over, they do the stuff. Like when I go to the seminars with you, it's so awesome. They're awesome. Like I always forget. I'm like, is it 4 count? Is it 3 count? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And I'm like, I was off beat. I'm like, dude, it's the best. And I have so much fun with it because I don't know it. I'm not going to act like I know it, but it's like everybody that when I get done talking, when they come to do one of my classes, they're like, dude, you're ready to go. And I'm like, what is it again? I practice that shit.
Hopefully they're nice, respectful.
It's amazing. So
we're all aiming upward, I feel, with the BMT community and in general with martial arts for the most part. So that's what I'm proud to be a part of. And obviously being a representation of the Lord. If I say I follow Jesus and I'm a Christian, then I should walk, talk, act a certain way, I feel, right? So I don't think if you have someone who says not that I'm the best example, and I'm not even trying my best, but I'm doing, I guess, again, about 80%, right? But I feel that should hopefully bleed over into some other aspects of life and other cultures and stuff. Because again, maybe it's my ego of like seeing other coaches around you and like acting silly. I'm like, I don't like it. I honestly,
totally.
I don't like it. Yeah,
Yeah.
we have too much of a high
feel you.
standard. Yeah. So,
I feel
anyways,
you.
And treat people how you want to be treated.
Yep.
Like,
Do
right?
others as you
That's
want done unto you.
another very important thing.
Jesus' golden rule. Yeah, yeah. And so there it is. But now a question for you, Luke. When we were training, was that you've already touched base on it, but would you say I took it serious?
Oh, 100%.
So committed?
You were 100% committed.
Was that what you would expect of yourself?
100%.
Right, yeah. So there, it's pretty simple, right? It's
Yeah,
like,
no, it was like I said, it was already the best. It was. I would have not want my. You always want your career to be the better. Win, go to
I
win
got a bunch of
championships.
freaking- yeah.
But as far as like, the avenue that got me to where I was at and the friendships that I've gotten today, man, I would have never changed anything in any aspect of it. I probably should have, did a little bit more cardio, a little bit more road work. That was out of your control.
Yeah.
You took me to Red
I'll
Rocks.
take you though.
You took me, and I was like, man, there has to be
Rocks,
rattlesnakes up here.
How about the flannel? What company is that again?
Born Primitive.
And they're an American company.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. They
Yeah.
got that in large.
Yeah, they're.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna
I
need
got
that.
some. I got something for you.
What's
You
that?
keep
That's
yours.
a medium you got on right now?
Yeah, this is XL,
simple
dog. I
thing.
got
So
Yeah, yeah, XL.
Is it XL?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I promise.
Is it made in? No.
Hey, easy.
Is it?
No,
Is it?
for real.
Is that a youth XL?
Stop. Stop. Talk about bullies.
Is it a
Talk
rash?
about
Talking
bullies.
about
Is it a
bullies.
rash guard? See, this is brotherly love.
Well, it's
Yeah,
brotherly
it's-
love. See, it makes you
it's nice
tougher.
though. It's cool. I really
you
do.
tougher.
This is one thing I wanted to touch base on before we wrap things up is, you've trained a lot of people with your affiliate programs and did everything. And then obviously you had TJ as a champion.
Yes, sir.
And I've known TJ now. I've actually hunted with him and stuff.
Dude, he's such an inspiration.
Dude, this is something that I'm very proud of you. And I can tell you now, the person that you've became, the father, the husband, but coach, but like now I see TJ doing his own thing.
It's amazing.
And spreading, from the Jackson podcast to, helping out the guys there, all the high level A&M guys. I look and I see you in him.
Cool. Sharing
And
the
I just
system.
wanted to say, I'm pretty damn proud of you, Duane.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
He's
Yeah.
been able to. He's smart enough to carry it on. Not that you have to be smart to carry it on, right? But he knows. As if it was you and myself, is we know too much not to teach, right? So we're just doing what we're supposed to be doing. But thank you for that compliment, and it's nice to see him still carrying on the lineage and what we've formed together. Because he and I working together, like I didn't fight with it like him, but I felt that's how he should fight, because of how he was naturally walking, talking, and moving, right? So I just kind of watered that plant for him, helped him water it a bit more. So, but now for him to go ahead and pay that forward is definitely rewarding. I will say that for mixed martial arts, if it's a wheel, we do have a spoke of evolution in that wheel, right? For sure, like how many people are switching their stances now, but not just switching their stances with strikes, offense and defense, right? That shit came from us, like fuck all the damn shit, all the switch punches.
I know.
But I learned that from watching Ray Cepho when he fought Jerome LeBanner in I think Australia, and he knocked out Jerome LeBanner with the switch lead hook. So once I seen that, it inspired me, and then I was allowed to do that. I wasn't told not to do that. Like, you didn't tell me not to do that, since the boss didn't tell me not to do that. It was allowed and encouraged. So I think without your guidance, I wouldn't have been able to have as much freedom to explore those natural emotions, and I'll carry that on with TJ, because with how you've taught me, I just take those same principles to teach TJ. Like, if that works for you, Ninja, then keep doing it. Let's just work on making it a bit more efficient, I should say, right? So.
And as a coach, that makes me proud. Like, you were
So,
coaching people for so many years when you were still fighting, but your first year, this is a very cool thing. Duane became the MMA Coach of the Year from the World MMA Awards, and I was coaching for many years, and I got to follow in one of my athletes' footsteps behind him as an MMA Coach of the Year. That's a very cool thing. It's
It is super
one
cool,
year,
right? Yeah.
1 year in,
Yeah.
you went to Team Alpha Male, and everybody was successful,
And
and you did
I wasn't
so
trying to-
good.
so thank you for bringing that up. But I was just finding the natural tendencies of like what I learned from you from Sensei Boss.
Patterns.
But that wasn't my goal. My goal wasn't to win
No.
the Coach of the Year award, or actually, like, I wanted TJ to win the title, but that wasn't necessarily the focus. The focus was, what does he need to do to perform to win the title? Because the title is the end result of doing X, right? So, and I remember specifically between one of the rounds, his other cornerman was hyping him up, saying something else. And I remember telling TJ, just to keep it playful, was like, we're just giving them a seminar like you're a ninja, just keep doing good, keep feeling the flow. It wasn't like do the specific thing or trying to force something down him. It was just allowing him to dance and flow. And the end result would be the title at the end. And then the coach of the year, that was never on my mind. I didn't really care about that. I just want to meet my student at their level and make them the best. So I guess that's just a good example. Maybe I'm talking to myself as far as
no, that's
doing in life.
Same way I felt. Right?
Yeah.
Same way when I felt when I was there. I only had 3 athletes, and I was like, "How did I get this? I only have 3 athletes." You were running a whole team.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Dude, these guys have 40 pros." I ran a team of 40 pros for a long period of time, and I was just like, "Why now? That's so weird." But then when I watched them on stage, we won 7 out of 13 awards that night with my 3 athletes. So it stood out. Then I was like, "Holy cow! It's their performance." And them performing is what made it go, oh, okay. Yeah. And I went up and did my speech, but I know what you feel because that's the same thing I felt.
It was kind of easy for me but it's like following your footprint because you work individually with the fighter to extract their potential, but then you would take them to other schools to spar because they need to have the different looks, right? So I had that all in-house with the Alpha Male gym because I'd work individually a lot more with certain people, but then we had the whole team there, so we didn't have to travel for them to get the sparring and their different looks. So it was an easy laboratory. I was handed a car full of Ferraris. I just had to gas them up.
Nice. They were too. It was a smaller team. Like those guys were so good. There was such a just a
the
great
team,
group.
The culture, like that was
absolutely
a golden opportunity to be presented that to to coach those guys. So I'm very thankful for that opportunity. I wouldn't understand martial arts at the level that I feel I understand it now without the opportunity of running the team and then having the opportunity to work with TJ as well. So I've been given a lot of great opportunities, however those come about, the Lord's guidance, and been able to, I guess, capitalize on those opportunities as well. So
I love what I see with him on the Jackson podcast. I
dude,
think
he's
it's so
another
cool with Bear.
committed,
like, it's so cool,
honest,
dude.
hardworking guy.
Absolutely, I love it.
It's like the core principles that allowed him to become a champion. And just putting those.
Check him out, Jackson's good. If you like podcasts, like our podcast, but also go check them out too. TJ's doing a great thing. That's underneath Duane. Duane's been on the podcast. Awesome stuff.
Yeah, I like that they're sharing martial arts, but TJ's personal business himself, the Wild Society of Nutrition, badass, great nutrition. There's a lot of supplement companies out there have a lot of fillers and bullshit. TJ's, all his stuff is pure, genuine, awesome.
Him explaining like the left hand going over the punch low kick with you guys when you're out there. So awesome. So awesome to see your chemistry to both of you.
Another reason why he was so good is because he's smart as well. Athletic, hardworking, determined, and down, just gangster as fuck. Like he has the fighting spirit, So that's why, like, some people don't have the fighting spirit. Like they have the work ethic and the cardio, but if they don't have the dog in them, I don't know. Like there's certain things that need to be already almost wired in them to come with it. Maybe we can extract that and show them, or maybe we can also show them that it's not in them. Because I've had people come to me before. I've had people move from other countries to be under my guidance, and that's humbling, and to become a champion, right? Because they think I can flip that switch for them, but there just were certain pieces that were missing, and I don't know what the answer is, what the riddle is. I think some things are actually ingrained in someone that we can water and extract it, but there's certain things that may not be in a person who's not accountable or hardworking or has that dog. Because like Gaethje
or
has
time,
that dog.
The amount of time because some people take more time to be able to develop that. And I'd say the biggest thing that I've seen is the internal, the weakness of not trusting ourselves or hesitation. Again,
how strong is
a
that
dog
belief?
is easier to train when they have that bite, but other people, I think, going through the right process, like one of my biggest pet peeves is technical sparring is better than heavy sparring. And I'm like, yes, like
certain
in the
aspects.
beginning, for some people who have that, make it playful, make it fun, don't get hurt. And then all of a sudden they start to go, damn, I'm starting to get this. I'm an athlete. Then all of a sudden you have to work on strength things and how do they face these things and learn how to eat leather. You're not throwing a punch. You're learning how to dive into shots. So there is so many strategies that go into it, but do you have enough time? What sport are you jumping into? Can you get an amateur experience? So there's a lot of things that play into that. And if they can't overcome trauma or they were abused at a certain point, like there's a lot of things at play. But I think with the right coaching, you can find something to get somewhere to that next level, but you also have to be honest with them with what they're held with.
Yeah. Indeed. Awesome.
Well, that being said, Duane, I can't
Awesome
thank
show.
you enough.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity to invest into you, right?
Yeah,
So
man.
it's-
I'm gonna be like,
awesome.
Oos!
Yeah.
Oos.
Oos indeed.
Did I say it right?
Oos.
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 You say it like deep,
Mr.
like
pushing to endure.
I gotta do my lip. Do it again.
Well,
I gotta
say
watch
it,
your lips.
jokingly and stuff, right?
No, but I wanna see the real way.
Serious about like oos. Well, in the karate, the Japanese Navy adopted it as far as a camaraderie thing to bring everyone together and to push into endure. So was what the two joining words are for that, because like life's not going to be easy and training is not going to be easy, but it's also been adapted as far as like confirmation that they heard their instruction, like 15 push-ups. They're like, oh, it's like I heard you and I
Yep.
won't do that, right? So that's where it comes from. That's one thing that I try to live by. That is what helped keep me on the path to, you know, become a better version of myself, I guess, right? So,
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think I'm about that life, ninjas.
That's the
know
shit.
you
I'm
are.
so about it.
You
I'm about
are.
to go play some Duck Duck Goose.
Ah.
Dude.
Dwayne, where can they people check you out at? I know you have an
You know,
affiliate
I think,
program.
yeah, the affiliate program where I teach other coaches what to teach and how to teach and guide their students along the principles of, you know, keeping them safe, healthy, and happy. Because whether it's I would say, you know, civilian or the world champion, you have the same goals to help them grow and keep them safe, healthy, and happy. So I have levels for everything from kids to adults. And bangmuaythai.com, I think, is still the website. And then the dojo in Westminster, Colorado, and the affiliates all throughout the world. So we even have one in Nigeria now, which
That's
is
so awesome.
Hey.
So it's
So
cool,
cool.
how martial arts and combat and fighting are so universal. Like we truly are all one, and it's nice to have something to connect with so many different people. So
Amazing.
I'm in a blessed position. But anyway, to find me, I guess bangmuaythai.com. I'm pretty sure that's
it.
the website. Yeah.
Yep. That's it, buddy.
Yeah.
I know it. Well,
Thank you,
thanks
brother.
again,
Yes, sir.
man.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate
Thank you.
both you
Thank
guys,
Coach
man.
Vic, sir.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
do. I really do appreciate
Core
both
group
you
right
guys.
here.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
More to
I
come.
did. All right. Well, we out.